What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome in to episode number 239 of the allegedly award-nominated, still think number 9 ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, part of the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast network. It's Keeb. It's been a long week, ladies and gents. It's been a long week. It's KB and Deej coming at you from Underground Studios. It is our PLL championship game preview episode. Yes, I want to preface this at the top of the show. We know the NLL draft happened this past week. You all know we are big NLL junkies, big NLL heads, stands, aficionados, if you will. We know a lot of NLL shit has happened over the past couple of weeks that we haven't talked about. But guess what? This is the last week of the PLL in terms of games, in terms of DJ coming out on the road, in terms of us having to, go places to cover games and everything. So once that settles down, and once there's not that much PLL news to talk about because the season's, at a rest, we're going to talk about the NLL draft. We're going to have guests on to help us talk about the NLL draft because unlike years past, I think DJ and I knew about, collectively going in of the players that we knew, offhand that were eligible were, 10. And then, obviously, as the draft went on, you realize more players and stuff like that. But we're going to save the NLL banter for the next couple of weeks. So, PLL stands, buckle in. We're going to recap DC, which was a wonderful weekend outside of some parking issues. But we're going to say this at the top of the show, too. Before we even get into the business of the show, it's championship week. If you're an OG of this podcast, in 2019, we went big and we had 2 guests on one show. We had Scott Ratliff and Ryder Garnsey. And then in the bubble, we were pumping out guests left and right for y'all. This is BD before DJ. This is OTB BD. We had Joe Nardell and Andy Towers. And then last year, we said, let's just go fucking big. We're back in person, going to PLL games, covering games. So we had Kyle Jackson, we had Ian McKay, and we had Jay Carlson. Well, we're going big again. It's a 3-guest episode. We have Jack Rowlett coming back. Now a recurring guest. Jack Rowlett will be on this episode later on in the show. We have Eli Gobrecht returning to the program. Another recurring guest coming on the show. And then, cue the ladies and gentlemen, we got him. One of our white whale guests. And yes, you're probably thinking, how is this guy a white whale? KB, you've been around him for the last 4 years. Almost year round. Well, we finally got him. The one and only 2-time goalie of the year, 2021 PLL regular season and championship game MVP, and 2021 Chaos Lacrosse Club championship goalie. He put a ring on that thing. Blaze Riorden will also be joining us on this episode. Agent Zero coming through, ready to bring the chaos. So yes, you heard that correct. Jack Rowlett, Eli Gobrecht, and Blaze Riorden. We got 3 all-stars on the show this week. So buckle up because it's a blast. All of the interviews, fantastic, and you're not going to want to miss them. So that's why you got to follow us at OTB LaxPod to show more people that, hey, look, these guys get guests. They do it big. They have big-time stuff on this show. Follow us at OTB LaxPod, Twitter and Instagram. Follow the network at Underground PHI on Twitter and Instagram. Follow DJ on Twitter at SCS_next great. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feed. This should be our #1 most downloaded episode. Like, I'm not even joking, y'all. Run this motherfucking thing up to the moon. Blaze Riorden, Jack Rowlett, and Eli Gobrecht all on one episode should be doing numbies. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever the hell you get your podcasts, listen to this sumbitch. Leave a 5-star rating and review on Spotify and Apple. Give us your championship game predictions on the Apple Podcast reviews. Because the more people that subscribe, download the show, leave reviews and ratings, it helps more people find the show and helps more people join OTB Nation. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, where you get full video episodes of OTB every single week. You get full video episodes of every Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast. And DJ, I figured, because at the time of us recording this portion, we have not spoken to Blaze yet. I figured we'd save the best for last, and we would, go back to the crowdsourcing like we did with Nat St. Laurent, and we asked Blaze for his insight on our leg of the hashtag Road to 1K Gauntlet Challenge, which is Underground Sports Philadelphia's YouTube channel. We get to 1,000 subscribers. Each podcast on our network will be doing something different. We're still thinking of our leg. The main pod's still thinking of our leg. Getting the Whole still thinking of theirs as well. But I feel like Blaze will have something very fun and creative for us to dabble into. So stay tuned for that, because you'll hear it later on in the show. But subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get to see DJ and I's beautiful faces. You get to see Eli and Jack's beautiful faces, Blaze's beautiful face, and just fun video elements, because later on in this episode, too, we have an exclusive Do review. You get to see our reactions to that. So go over to YouTube, search Underground Sports Philadelphia, smash that like button, click the subscribe button, ring the bell icon, comment your championship game predictions, and get us to 1K. Get us to 1K. Big thank you to our sponsors, Tomahawk Shades. I know summertime is slowly coming to an end logistically, but it's still bright outside like every fucking day of the year pretty much, unless you live in Alaska, when it's dark 6 months of the year and not dark 6 months of the year. Go to tomahawkshades.com. Use code USP for 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com. Dude, show off the hat for the people. Show off the lid. The Kenny rope hats. Beautiful stuff. You can get yours at kenwoodbeer.com. You can also get the It's a Bad Day to Be a Kenny t-shirt for a limited time. They're going quick. And you can use that all-new and improved Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. I know one way or another, DJ's going to be cracking back some Kennys this weekend. You got to be 21 or older to do so. Of course, please drink responsibly. And the homies over at Bino, every single week leading up to the World Cup, guys, Bino board is dropping World Cup-inspired boards. Very timely drop for this week's DJ, as everyone's listening and watching to this episode. Bino will be dropping their Team England board. Very timely stuff, as timely news has happened in England over the past week. BinoBoard.com. You can get your Team England, your Team France, Team Germany, all the World Cup needs, because I feel like if you're having any sort of World Cup viewing parties, anything like that, you need a Bino board on the coffee table. You need it at your tailgates. You need it everywhere. So go to BinoBoard.com. Use code BINHOUSP. That's BINHOUSP for 10% off your order at BinoBoard.com. Deej, should we tell everybody about the parking situation first before we even pseudo recap everything that happened in D.C.? Because Washington, D.C., you guys need to figure your fucking parking situations out, because my God, trying to charge people and successfully charging people $90 fucking to park is the most ludicrous thing, which DJ and I almost had a heart attack when we had to pay $55 to park in a parking garage at Fenway Park in Boston. $90 is absurd. If you think you're doing your parking attending correctly, you can fuck all the way off. If you're thinking $90, $80, like I asked everybody at my day job, the old pay the bills job, Deej, what their limit would be before they decided, nah, I'm gonna go find a new lot. I told them my max, depending on what the event was, where we were, my max normally, obviously Fenway was kind of an anomaly. My max normally is $40. If I see 40, I'll be like, okay, I'll bite the bullet and, I'll pay the 40. But normally I'm in that sweet spot of anywhere from 15 to 25. That's like pristine. Unless we park them for free, which y'all know, if you know where to park for free in Philly, you're a real one. Because we know where to park when we're down at the stadiums. $90 was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my fucking life, and I wanted to slap those dudes in the face. I was this close to really losing my temper, but I said, I know DJ doesn't have bail money, so I didn't want to get locked up in the nation's capital and potentially be next to the dude with the yak fucking pelt that rushed the Capitol on January 6th.
Listen, I may not have had bail money on me, bro, but I would not have let you stay in there. I definitely could have.
You probably would have been joining me because you were equally as
point,
appalled.
Oh yeah, bro. I heard that, bro, and I looked at you because, like, I wanted you to pull your wallet out so I could punch you, bro. Like, I really.
I might be dumb, but I'm not stupid.
Thank God, because I was not gonna let you pay that much. It was.
But I think that's the most. I think that's the most like pissed off you've heard me.
Yeah.
Like I was audibly
livid,
disgusted. Because that was the same parking lot we parked in last year for the same type of event. And it was a bigger event because it was a championship game. And we parked there for free. And then they had the gall to say, well, if you're going to park here, you're going to pay $90. I said, you can get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah.
I wanted to walk by them after we found our beautiful piece of gravel, $20. Shout out. Got to pay with Venmo for parking for the first time.
I'm really thinking, bro. He had nothing to do with that, bro. He just started telling people they could park there for $20.
Hey, I respect the hustle.
Got a bag and went home.
I respect that hustle.
I am not mad at him
because you know how much money he probably made with people circling around, finding $20 to park and not having to deal with the bullshit of Washington, D.C.
He made a couple $100 and went home, had a good meal, a couple beers, and a nice time.
Easy. Shout out to the homie. But $90 to park, you can fuck all the way off. And DC, outside of that, was pretty solid, I would say. The parking situation, pretty piss poor. You and I talk about places we would like to see the PL continue to go, potentially go, never go back to.
This is it.
I am fully in on Audi Field joining Red Bull Arena on a place they never go back to again. And if they do, make it the regular season. And even then, fuck them. Don't go back because it was just not worth the hassle. There's not enough parking, and that just drove me absolutely livid. So, Audi Field, your parking situation absolutely sucks. A fat one. And rest in piss, bozos. But the games, some of the best games of the entire season. The Waterdogs win a 1-goal game against the Whips for the third straight game. Those two teams go to a 1-goal game. The Waterdogs are advancing to the championship game, as you heard, because Eli Gobrecht is on the show this week. And then Chaos pull another upset. They beat a higher seed, and they beat the Archers 9-7. Shout out to the wet shorts. If you know, you know. So we got Waterdogs and Chaos. Overall, I thought those two games in DC were two of the best 7 games we saw all season long. Hands down, we were listing them off as we were leaving the press conferences and stuff. Like, I think those two games go in the same pantheon as Waterdogs Atlas in Denver, Atlas Redwoods in Fairfield, Trying to think of the other ones we rattled off. Waterdogs Chrome in Fairfield.
Yeah.
Redwoods Cannons in Denver. And even though they weren't fully stacked, Chaos Whipsnakes in Albany was ugly, but it was close.
Yep.
I think these two games in there, in that discussion of like best games of the year.
1,000%. I mean, the games were fantastic. We surprisingly kept our cool in the press box. Press box was pretty mellow for the most part, but like there was a lot of, oh my gods, and like, did he really just do that? And like, no way. And like,
we did have some fun with Pulski and Dan though.
Yeah, Pulski goes, oh my god, he broke his stick.
And we got that guy on the pod later. So shout out to Eli. We should have asked him about that.
Yeah, we dropped the ball there. We'll have to circle back in a presser or something and be like, yo, so the total obliteration of Rambo's stick. What was that about? Was that anger? Was that just hitting the sweet spot? Like, what's up?
But yeah, I mean, semifinals were great. We got a fantastic championship game matchup, in my opinion. Waterdogs' first championship game appearance. Chaos' third straight championship game appearance. And, they've been to all 4 semifinal weekends as well. So shout out to AT and crew. I think this matchup in particular is very cool because from our perspective, like we're in the media, but we're not your traditional Big J journo media. Like we've created bonds and friendships with a lot of guys on both of these teams. Like, and to see just two teams that we really fuck with, that really get down with us, support what we do, are willing to come on our show whenever, I think is really cool. Like, and not that Whipsnakes don't have those guys, but it's also nice to have variety as well. And to see a new team for the very first time in a championship game setting is very, very cool, because you look at every single championship game, there's only been 4 teams to ever make it to the PLL championship. Whips, Redwoods, Chaos, and now Waterdogs.
Yep.
It's crazy to think about. And Waterdogs, the first expansion team to make it as well. And I mean, for me personally too, like AT and Copeland have been phenomenal human beings to me, and since you've jumped on the show as well, starting last year, to you as well. Cope popped on the pod a few times, I think, before you started co-hosting. We obviously had him on like we were his first interview after getting hired. So I always take pride in that we got the Barstool team to hand over their coach to us first. But Cope's been fantastic to us since day one. AT is obviously one of our guys through and through, and like both of them, we consider them like they're part of the OTB coaching staff. So, waking up that next day after DC, it was really cool to be like, wow, 2 head coaches that really get down with our content, support us, are going toe-to-toe against each other for a championship. Like, that's just a really cool feeling for me, and I'm sure you feel the same way as well. Like, and looking at all the players that have been on our show, listened to our show, like, obviously Blaze is going to be a first-timer this week, so, like, you think about Blaze, Jack Rowlett, Troy Ray, Jared Newman, Ian McKay, Dane Smith, Kyle Jackson, Challen Rogers, trying to think if I'm forgetting anybody from Chaos.
Josh Byrne.
I mean, Josh Byrne loves us in the press conferences. That Chaos squad, that's easily, 9 guys that I just rattled off who have been on the show, who get down with us. And you think back to 2020 as well, Curtis Dixon as well. And then you look at, this Waterdog squad, Eli, Dylan Ward, Andy Copeland, Jake Withers has been following along with us for as long as I can remember. I covered Liam Burns when he was with the Wings year 1, so I've been around Liam for quite some time. Kieran giving us some love in the press conference, which was really sick. There's a lot of guys that support us, and it's cool to see them get that opportunity to go out and compete for a championship.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that gives us a big opportunity, because, like you said, like you mentioned, Kieran giving us love in the press conference. Like, a lot of people are going to see that, when that goes up on YouTube and stuff. It's like he literally goes, "Thanks for the love on Twitter." Like, like that's awesome. Like that's exactly, like that just feels good to us. Like,
Yeah.
whether anybody else hears that or not, it's just nice for us to hear that. But also, like, because we pump these guys so up so much, and they come on our pod and they mess with us so heavy, like, people are going to see, and like we're going to have opportunities and insight that other people aren't going to have because we're so tight, so it's like that's what I get out of this, is like it's awesome that they're getting this opportunity, because like it's good for them and it makes them happy, but it also is like sort of a gateway and an opportunity for me. Like, it's a possible door opening. Could absolutely nothing come out of this? Sure, but that doesn't mean I'm any less happy, because I'm still seeing guys that I absolutely have come to respect a lot, and honestly are starting to grow friendships and bonds with, get to compete in a sport that they love for, the highest accolade in that sport at the time, outside of a world games medal. And, and it could possibly open up a door for me at the same time. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's super dope. And just the situations we've been in all year is just super appreciative for all of it. We'll get gushy next week when the season comes to an end, but DC was great, and now we head to the motherland. We're in the backyard this week. Philadelphia for the final. First time since 2019 the final is there. Obviously last year the semifinals were in Philly. A lot of Philly connections in this game. Andy Copeland has friends and family from Philadelphia. Michael Sowers, obviously, big Philly guy. Eli Gobrecht has family and friends in Philly. Jack Rowlett has friends and family in Philly. Blaze Riorden has made Philadelphia his home. KJ47 obviously has ties and now plays for the Wings in Philadelphia. Trying to think if there's anybody else currently that has any Philly ties that I know off the top of my head. Not 100% sure, but those guys, I mean, are the kind of big headliners in my book. It's always an electric atmosphere at Subaru Park. It made my heart sing seeing Mike Rabel's tweet this morning that everybody at Subaru Park is like amazing to work with. So that just gives me more credence and thought that, Subaru Park, Philadelphia is going to be a consistent staple on the PLL schedule for years to come. But I'm excited to just be in the backyard and enjoy, the neighborhood and enjoy being in Philly for the final. Seeing somebody hoist a trophy in your city is always a electric feeling. These two teams, though, a lot of one-sidedness when it comes to final results. The Waterdogs are 3-0 all time against Chaos, including this regular season. Chaos, the only team they have never beaten in franchise history, are the Waterdogs. Obviously, a lot of NLL history between these two teams, because back early in the season, early in the summertime, those chaotic bandits were fighting for a championship in the NLL against Dylan Ward, and now they go for round 2. It's kind of wild that both seasons of lacrosse at the pro level are going to end with a championship bout between those collections of players.
But I think it just goes to show, like, truly how good they are. Like, we talk about, Blaze being the best goalie in the year, or best goalie in the world. Burn Lore won goalie of the year, but like, honestly, the best goalie in the world is Dylan Ward. He is winning at every level, and he's doing it all year round. Like, we can't ignore the facts. Like, this is literally the second championship in a matter of 6 months that he's competing in. Like, you can't ignore those facts. They're literally less than 6 months.
Like 4 months.
You can't ignore those facts. Like, that's huge. Like, the man is balling out of his mind. But then, you flip that on the other side, and you're watching guys who are out there battling against some of the best defensive players to ever pick up a stick, and they're playing in 2 championships in less than 4 months. Like, those collection of players are some of the best players in the world.
And you look at Dylan Ward, just to highlight him alone. He's won at every single level he's played at. The only trophy missing, outside of college, the only trophy missing from, his pro career, including juniors, is a PLL title. Won at the MLL. Won Junior B, Junior A, won the NLL title this year. I think he won Senior A as well. He's got trophies galore. He won with Team Canada for World Games. Now he just needs a PLL trophy. Like, it is crazy to think that, like, we're getting the opportunity to watch a guy who is so cool, calm, and collected when he's out on the field, will come into a press conference, is not afraid to curse in a press conference, which any player, I don't know if there's anything against it with, like, the league or anything, not that they're airing it on TV, but, like, I love when players curse in a press conference because it's natural, raw emotion. Dylan's not afraid to hold back one way or another, and we're getting to watch a Hall of Fame career unfold right before our eyes. And I feel like it's not talked about enough. And yes, Dylan's still in the prime of his career, but we're watching a Hall of Fame goalie almost year-round now. And in a matter of, like we just said, 4 months, he's competing for another championship. It's crazy to just put in perspective, like, how accomplished Dylan Ward truly is.
Yeah, like, when you really sit there and you think about, where he's played, like, what teams he's played for, the history they have, and then, you look at his record, his number of saves, and you look at that in every league he's played in, and he's toward the top, if not at the top of record books. And then you start looking at his trophies and medals, and you run out of room in the trophy case in your head. So you can only imagine he's run out of room in his own trophy case, and he's still adding to it. Like, you really get blown away with how good he truly is.
And then this matchup also has history dating back to the MLL, 2018, when the Denver Outlaws won their title, their third in 6 years, because they did kind of the San Francisco Giants method in baseball, where they won in 14, 16, and 18. Bunch of these Waterdogs and Chaos guys going toe-to-toe and winning a championship together. Blaze was on that Rattlers team that inevitably lost to the Outlaws. There's a lot of history in this matchup, which I also find very fascinating, very cool. It's just like somebody who appreciates and enjoys the history of sports as a whole. So that's a fun, aspect on this, and we talked to Eli a little bit about that as well, which we'll hear later on in the show. But for this matchup, we dive into it a lot, so we're not really going to truly break it down one-on-one because we have 3 guests that we're going to break this matchup down with. But, Deej, what are you looking at in this game, knowing the facts that we know, knowing what this matchup truly contains? I think the biggest thing I'm looking at is just that Team Canada face-off unit for the Waterdogs going toe-to-toe with the likes of Troy Ray, CJ Costabile on the wings, and then Max Adler, who comes alive in the playoffs for the last 2 years now. I think AZ said they're 5-0 in the playoffs with Max Adler, facing off for them now. So that's, I think, a massive key to this game is Withers versus Adler. And then on the outsides, it's obviously, the wing play is going to play a major part in this game and who's able to kind of get those possessions. And then I was fortunate enough to be asked as a guest on Over and Back with our boy Danny Noobs, part of the Gambling Avengers, if you will, this week on Over and Back, a 7-guest lineup. So go check that out as well on the PLL YouTube channel. I brought it up to him looking at past matchups too. It even kind of overemphasizes it. In regular season matchups between the Dogs and Chaos, not including the bubble, the over on 2-pointers has hit both times. The Waterdogs had 3 2-pointers, I believe. 3 2-pointers week 4 in Baltimore when they won 18-9. And then back in 2021, week 2, which I believe was in Atlanta, Chaos hit 3 2-pointers and the Waterdogs hit 2 2-pointers. So these guys, both teams have players that can hit from range and are going to be able to potentially, dictate the game and figure out where this thing goes depending on if they can, capitalize on the 2-point shot.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, how high the score goes, honestly, because being a defensive guy in big games like this, like defenses tend to come with a little more aggression, and I want to see how offenses are going to take that, and if defenses are going to take over the game and make it a little more, low scoring, and people who take the over are going to be pulling their hairs out. And I would honestly love that in the press box because I feel like there's going to be a few of you doing that. This is why I don't sports bet. I can just enjoy the game and watch you guys pull your hair out. But also at the same time, this game could be run up and the over could smash before halftime. Like this game has capability to be a complete track sprint back and forth, or it could be a very slow game that becomes a meticulous chess match. Like I'm looking to see the middle of the field, and not in terms of face-off, but ground balls, transition, out of saves, clearing the ball, that kind of thing. Like our teams are either one of them going to look to slow it down and go into the 6-on-6 a little more. They both kind of push transition and make it a track meet. What is the idea that they want to have here in the middle of the field? And then also it's individual matchups, which we'll get into later. Not going to get in that too much, but on both sides there are specific individual matchups that I feel are not necessarily key, but could end up being the difference maker because of how the key matchups play out.
Yeah, and there's a lot to kind of, and you brought up, sweating out the over, the under, like the looking at, prepping for over and back, like I was looking at the over underline, like it's only 22.5. And both regular season games outside of the bubble, obviously, so I'm just referencing week 2 of 2021 and then this year, week 4, both of those games hit that over with ease. It was 26 total goals, or total points, if you will, in 2021, and then 27 this year in week 4. So, I mean, these two teams can run up the score, and not that, 2020 in the bubble was low scoring in terms of totals either. It was 19, so it was relatively close. I think this game is there's a lot to dissect from it in terms of, matchups, and you brought up individual matchups. I think there's no better way to break that down than to bring on the homie Jack Rowlett. So we're going to kick off our interviews here with number 99 himself, defenseman for Chaos Lacrosse Club, all-star, the fastest man in the PLL, Jack Rowlett. So stay tuned. You're going to enjoy this one. It's an absolute blast having the homie back on. So here is Jack Rowlett. All right, we said on Twitter it was going to get a little chaotic on the episode this week, and it's the playoffs, and that seems to be the time of year where the homie that you're seeing on the screen, if you're watching on the YouTube, which you should, Jack Rowlett, defenseman for Chaos Lacrosse Club, is back. Jack, first of all, congrats on making it back to another championship game, and welcome back to the show, brother.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, it's nice to be talking to you guys before a championship because that means we're playing in the championship. So always love that.
Exactly. Just take us through, the matchup last week. We kind of dubbed it on the show a couple weeks ago that it's official. You guys and the Archers are like the next like installed rivalry in the PLL. You guys fucking hate each other. It's obvious on the field. I'm sure it's, most of the guys off the field, you guys shake hands, you're all kumbaya and everything, but on the field, you guys fucking hate each other. So what was that intensity like, kind of, another year in the playoffs getting to play against them?
Yeah, and it's the way the bracket worked out. It was just, we obviously got led into that matchup. I think, I don't know if I'd even say we hate them as much as, like, in the playoffs, Coach Towers has been, like, instilling the fact that we need to play with hate. Like, not, I will say I think we played soft in some losses, myself included. Like I'm saying, across the board, I don't think we were tough off the ground. Like there were some areas, in between the lines I thought we could have been better. So like the last 2 weeks, I think we've gotten chippy, everywhere across the field. That's something Coach Towers has kind of wanted to instill in us, is like playing with that hate, because that's when we're good, if we want to play like that.
Yeah, I mean, you get two viral moments from Blaze in back-to-back weeks. Press conference, you get his unenthusiastic yay, and then he makes a save with his shorts. You were right there when that save happened. Take me through what you saw during that sequence of events when Tommy shoots that ball from 2. What was kind of going on around the cage, and then you make that dive to potentially stop anything from happening, which I thought was a really heads-up play. But just take me through those final 10 seconds.
Yeah, no, I mean, they needed to shoot a 2. We knew that. We were trying to not even let them get their hands free. Tom somehow got the ball through traffic and on cage. And I see it go into Blaze, and I know it didn't go into the net, but Blaze said something along the lines of, like, I can't see it, or I don't know where it is, or I just see him looking around. So to me, that immediately is just like, like lay on the puck, hockey, like just lay on the goal line, do not let it cross you. Like that'd be the worst thing ever. It's like literally less than 10 seconds on the clock and the ball rolls out of his shorts or something like that, off his heel and into the goal. So no, there wasn't. And I saw something on Twitter that I was like trying to block the camera. I didn't even notice where the camera was in the goal, to be honest with you. I was literally just trying to lay down, and like as I slid, that's how I stopped myself. But nah, it was literally just saw him, didn't know what else to do. I was like, worst case scenario, I'll be laying back here behind Blaze, and yeah, I guess it ended up working out. Blaze did not need me. Blaze made the save all by himself.
We were talking before we started recording too. You're just excited for the variety, that it's not the Whip Snakes. Obviously, you want to play the best of the best, but you're excited to get a new opponent in a championship game. What were your thoughts when you saw, before your guys' game, that the Waterdogs knocked off the Whips?
Well, yeah, definitely like the fact we're playing the Waterdogs. They killed us earlier in the year up in Baltimore. I think it was 18-8, 18-9 ballpark, somewhere like that. I don't even think historically we've ever beaten them. Someone might need to fact check me on that. They beat us in the bubble in OT. Courier scored. I think they beat us last year. I don't remember what that game looked like. And then obviously the only time we played this year, they killed us. So, we definitely got a bad taste in our mouth from them. It seems like they've had our number. So, to your point, it has to be the hardest road. We got to play the best. And for us, this is, our toughest matchup. It'll be the best one yet. So, looking forward to that for sure, and giving them our best shot.
You got it pulled up?
I'm pulling it up right now, looking to see
Okay,
what the all-time record is.
I'll drill them for a little bit while you do that. So obviously you lock down Grant Amen all the time because you guys played together so much. Not even going to get into that because we've talked about that a bunch. What is the difference between guarding a guy like Michael Sowers versus guarding Grant Amen?
Wow, that's good. I think so I'll give you two different answers. I think sometimes the problem is people lump those two together as the same guy, or they're the same player, and they're not. They're very, very different. Just because they're built the same and they're quick, you can't just say like that's a short, shifty guy. You saw like Mikey the last 3-4 weeks. He puts his shoulder into guys on goal line. Like he's tough. He's Philly tough. In the sense he wants to fight. You see him mixing it up with guys, and that's something he wants to get to the middle of the goal. I think he puts a lot of pressure on you, not only to stop him as a feeder, but to stop him as a passer. So I think in that way they're different, and it's almost a I don't want to say a slight to him, but he's his own guy, and I think he deserves his own level of respect in a different way than Grant. Not saying it's a higher or lower level, but just in a different way.
Yeah, Waterdogs are 2-0 against you guys all time.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, they have a bunch of injuries coming into this week. You're most likely not going to see Mikey Sowers. They're probably not going to have Steven DiNapoli on the defensive side.
Sowers Slosher.
Yeah, sorry, not Sowers, Slosher.
I bet something I didn't know. You got to tell me now.
No, brains just all over the place. My Michigan man, Mikey, not going to be out there. But Ryan Brown will possibly be making a return. Jake Higgins may be back out there. What are you guys expecting to see from them defensively? As you know, they're going to be missing guys, and you may see some D mids down on O and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's an incredibly talented group across the board. I think that if you look at all of them individually, right, there are 6 guys in their offense that probably demand a pull. From the midfield, talking about guys like Courier, Kelly, Jack Hanna, Conrad. Right there, that's 4 guys before you even talk about Mikey Slosher, who you probably could put a pull on any single one of them. And then all of their attackmen obviously are probably worthy of that as well. So, from matchup perspective, it's going to be about, doing well with our individual matchups, as it always is in this league. You can't lose your one-on-one matchups and expect to win games like that. So I would say, we got to win our matchup. And then, again, something that our team has been trying to do better, and something I don't think we did great, is just that, just that grit and that toughness, that blue collar, winning the ground ball battle, not fouling, but playing with an extreme level of, aggression and energy. Like, I think that's something Coach Towers would probably say. So I think that's kind of, with their offense, again, with so many different pieces, so many guys can beat you in so many ways, it's going to come down to, again, winning those matchups, and then when the ball's on the ground, being successful, not doing anything dumb to give them other opportunities.
This year, you guys got, I think, one of the biggest additions that was a long time coming for you with Challen Rogers. What's it like having him in the locker room, his personality, his connections with a lot of these guys as well from either the NLL, him and KJ playing with the Cannons in 2020. What's it like having Challen around this squad?
It's funny because, like, Challen comes as, like, the quote-unquote new guy, but knows everybody already in the locker room.
Right.
Relationships with everybody and, like, makes fun of people and cracks jokes with people. So it's like, but it's fantastic to have him back. I think you're just starting to see what his true ability is. I mean, the guy just glides on the field. We've been able to throw him up on some wings a couple weeks back. We've been able to pick up ground balls. When he gets back in the hold, someone I'm super confident will be able to, guard whoever he's covering at the time. If he has to even slide or recover, get in a passing lane, like, I have faith in him doing that as well. So it was definitely someone. I think he's been on our roster since the MLL, PLL, something in that timeline. So again, nice to have him back. Again, he's not really the new guy because everybody knows him, but nice to have him actually on the field playing with us for sure. He's been a great contributor the last couple weeks.
We had Eli Gobrecht on the show this week as well from the Dogs, and just looking, you guys have been able to hoist that trophy. It's a new trophy this year, though. What are your thoughts on the new championship trophy?
I think it's cool. I think it's a shame that it wasn't around last year, so we could say, like, we hosted, like, what the cup is, or, like, hopefully the league is massively successful and this cup exists in like 50 years. It would be cool to show my kids and be like, no, I held the first one, but I'm gonna have a different one that looks a little funky. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool in a lot of ways. I'll be excited to see it, get a good touch and feel. I saw it at the awards thing last week. Did not put any hands on it, so looking forward to potentially getting a chance to lift it. Yeah.
And Eli brought this up to us as well, and I think it's very funny that it's you guys and the Waterdogs playing for this championship, and nobody on the initial go round of award winners is from the Waterdogs or Chaos.
Correct. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not going to say anything about any individual guy out there. That's not my place right now. I know it's tough on a team that's 2-8 to say that we have the best of anything just because we didn't show it. I don't want to speak for the Waterdogs. That being said, I thought TJ Costigan had an absolutely unbelievable year. Do I think he should have won LSM of the year? Yeah, I do. That's a guy who I think played tremendous this year and didn't get a ton of recognition, maybe social media press before, but was so contributed so much to us last year and has done the same thing this year. And again, I think it is funny that neither of our teams had any winners, but at least from our perspective, we were the worst team in the league. It's kind of tough, but
I think it speaks to the parity of the playoffs too. Of anything can happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's a little bit about making sure that you're getting better every week, not just winning. And I think that's something that teams can fall into. I think that the first year, 2019, I think the Chaos won this regular season outright, actually.
Yeah, you guys went 7-3.
And then we were bad in the playoffs. It's like we played great. Maybe we didn't correct problems we had because we were covering it up with winning. So I think something that the Cavs have been able to do really well since then is just try to get better. The bubble, we were really bad, but we got better. Last year was hit or miss. We were, middle of the pack-ish, but we were working to get better. I think this year, you've seen noticeable improvement in our play. I actually think before the playoffs, even that game against the Atlas, I thought we played pretty well defensively. We lost the game, gave up 10 goals. I thought we played pretty well. You watch the film, you look back, you're like, I can live with a lot that's going on right now. So, again, it's all about kind of peaking at that right time. Like you said, in parity in this league, it's not always really about who you have. You're getting more about that group.
And you said after that Atlas game, too, in the press conference, you were like, it's a new season. Clean slate. Everything that happened before this doesn't really matter anymore. Like, this is a brand new season. And, I think if anybody's playing against Atlas with the offense they have, and you tell them, oh, yeah, we only gave up 10 goals, you're taking that every single day of the week.
Yeah, it's Coach Showers has been very good about making sure, one, we're accountable for not playing well or doing what we need to be doing better, but also to know what the ultimate goal is or what our goal at that time is, right? Before a game, the goal is to win that game. But the goal of the season is, make the playoffs and see what that looks like. The goal ultimately is to win a championship. So maybe we didn't do what was the goal that day, but we've still progressed over time to that goal ultimately of, winning a championship, competing for a championship. And, just thought we'd been able to do that.
You guys this year, too, I'm sure DJ will enjoy this and follow up on it as well. But last year, you guys had Johnny Surdick as, that third defenseman for you guys. This year, it's been kind of a rotation between Matt Reese, BK, and Geddes. What's it been like, just communication-wise for you guys when somebody new is in there potentially, every couple of weeks, just kind of fluctuating through, and then it's you and Jared, holding down the anchor spots there. But what's that communication like to make sure everybody's on the same page going into a game week, knowing that you guys only have, those couple days of practice a week?
Yeah, with the league being 8 teams, there's a couple of the defensive units that have not been together for 4 years, 3 years. Me and Jared have played together for 4 years now. I've never played with any defenseman other than one kid in high school for 4 years because, high school kids are moving in and out different grades. College, I played with Austin Pofani for 2 years. I think that might have been the only guy I played with for that many years, all on the field every game together. So, me and Jared played together for 4 years now. I know his game as well as I've known anybody's lacrosse game out there, right? As guys come in, the faster me and Jared can learn what they do and, work with them, talk to them, figure out what they like, what they don't like, how they read things, the more success we can have. I think someone else that does not get nearly enough love as they should, who's been tremendous, is Troy Ray. Troy Ray is an absolute baller. I would like to see the stats on LSMs who guard Schreiber and what his points look like. I always feel like Troy holds his own extremely well against some of the best guys out there. And maybe, I don't know what the reason is. Maybe because he has long hair. I hate it. Maybe that's why people don't like him as much. That makes sense because it does. But I think he's been tremendous. He was down low for us for a long time. He's someone that helps get our defense organized. But recently, with the addition of Matt Reese, that's someone we've had for a couple of years. He was here in 2019. He had some military service. He's been kind of in and out, but he's kind of cemented that spot down low with us, and it's been really nice to be able to build that chemistry and work alongside him.
Total joke here, and I love the person I'm about to bring up, but now I feel like this is why Kyle McClancy went unprotected in 2020. He had long hair.
I keep bringing up the guys I do. And that's not saying I want to cut anything, but just he's a great guy. He really is. He was on the team in 19, and then I think he was somewhere else in 20.
Yeah, he went to the Waterdogs.
Yeah, he's on the Waterdogs in 20. So, I like Kyle. I think he definitely needs to be on a team in this league somewhere.
Yeah.
No, but him and Troy are good friends of mine. I talk to Troy probably 5-6 times a week because he's coaching at LIU. So we talk lacrosse, defense, anything, chaos, whatever it is. That's my guy.
So, you brought up guys who aren't getting enough love, and then you just brought up your coaching career. Perfect segue for me. You had a chance to coach Zach Geddes last year while at Georgetown, and now you get a chance to play with him. This is a question that I asked Jesse Bernhardt earlier this year about Logan Wisnauskas. What is it like, and like what are the differences between watching them and coaching them at the college level versus you actually get to play with? He doesn't get a chance to play with he does. What is the difference between playing with them at the pro level?
Yeah, I think for my own relationship with Zach, it's pretty similar. Like I don't really yell at the guys too much at Georgetown. Like I'm more of the try to teach lacrosse. Like, hey, this is what I think you could do better. Like, let's try something else with our hands. Like that's more of my role. And, when you're playing pro with a guy, you're not screaming out. I mean, it's more like, hey, I think we don't need to slide there, but like come down the backside and make sure you cover the pipe. Something like that. So like conversation-wise, it's really easy. I got hired at Georgetown. I was 23. Zach was already old as it was for his grade anyway, so we're only like a year apart in age. It's pretty easy to to build that friendship. I made sure to grab him for dinners the night before games. Make sure he's not just eating the hotel food. We're like, if we're somewhere nice, we're gonna go get some good food. We're gonna try something local or whatever the case is. But he's a great guy. He's someone I've really enjoyed getting to know better. On a different level, kind of since we graduated and go hang out.
How special was it last week for you guys getting that win, but knowing that was also where Chaos won their first championship as well? So now, postseason-wise, you guys are 2-0 at Audi Field.
Yeah, 2-0. I actually think the Chrome stomped us in year one at Audi Field. So we're at least we're above 500 now. But I mean, for me personally, I love playing at Audi. I'm a DC guy. I live 15 minutes maybe from Audi, so it's really, really close to home. It's nice. Had a bunch of family and friends out there, so and also then being able to get a win and the conversation on the ride home is fun and exciting. Like my roommates literally picked me up from the locker room and drove me home afterwards. So the conversations are fun. We can joke about things. It's not hey man, sorry your season's over. That stinks. It's a little bit better than that. I was nursing a slight injury, but we're doing good. I don't know if
should have had you and Jared come out there and be some junkyard dogs with the parking attendants, because the people in DC must think that everybody is rich and can afford to pay exorbitant amounts to park their car.
Hold on, I got a story. We were playing at Red Bull the first year of the league. It's a playoff game. I think it was the Redwoods. We ended up losing. And me and Johnny Surdick were riding in my car together through the field to where they said we could park. I had my pass. The woman's like, no, you can't park here. You got to go to the paid lot. I was like, no, I'm playing in the game. I got to park. I got warm up. No, can't do it. Went over. We ended up paying $60 to park a half mile away. There's kids and little kids playing lacrosse, trying to get our autograph. I'm telling them literally I'm on the phone with Coach Powers and I'm late right now. So yeah, we had to run a half mile out. After the game, I'm walking out to my car, people are looking around did you just play? I'm yeah, I don't know, sorry, but
that's how we were. We parked in this lot last year for the championship game. They let us in, parked for free and everything, showed them the parking pass and everything. This year we pull up, it's this gaggle of goons that are just yeah, no, you're not parking here. And we were told we're supposed to, park behind the stadium and everything. We parked in this exact lot last year for this exact venue and everything. They were like, well, if you're gonna park here, you're gonna pay $90. And I said, you can piss all the way off.
Yeah, DC's bad. I think the K Street tunnel makes over $1 million a year in speeding tickets. They get you every way possible.
And I mean, we ended up finding some rinky-dink lot right down the street.
It wasn't even a lot. It was I feel like the guy just owned this street and was like, these are my gravel lots. Venmo me $20 and you can park here. And I said, absolutely.
Sounds good. No, that's why it always is good cash. There are a lot of spots like that in DC. Show a guy 20, they park right there.
Yeah. I was like, yep, I will take this any day of the week. I will do $20 any day.
Yeah, and we got the luxury of sitting right above your family and friends, and then Blaze's family and friends. Who do you think is wilder?
Wilder, maybe Blaze's. Louder, I don't think anyone will yell louder than my mother. At least when it comes to what voice I can hear, no one oh my God, I can hear it from all over the place. It's not a bad thing either, but just it always has like a connotation of like you're 9 years old, you might be getting yelled at about something. So yeah, just hearing like your spine shivers real quick.
What did you think of the throwback jerseys this year?
Fantastic. Loved them. Loved them. They were a little too sheer. Like, I go shirtless every, like, not shirtless. I'm, like, under my jersey, I don't wear anything. Like, the jersey's pretty nice as it is. Like, I don't feel bad, so it's easy. Chase Frazier, because he's, like, tan and ripped and tatted, like, he could go shirtless. I'm, like, a little bit skinnier, like, very pale, and got tats like he does, so I could not go. So I had to wear a T-shirt under the jersey, but that's my only complaint. I thought they looked awesome. I thought the black ones for the Cavs were, I mean, I thought they were the best. They looked like Brett Elevens, but I don't know. That's my
Yeah. I thought you guys on the Waterdogs had the best throwback ones. The black and red and black and purple looked sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was awesome out there. It probably felt good, you know, being out in Denver.
Felt so smooth. Oh yeah, no, that was a beautiful day. I think there was like supposed to be rain or something. We might have played like 10:30 in the morning or like 9:30 in the morning or something. I think it was early for sure.
I think they flexed them.
It was early because they flexed them because of the rain. So like somebody played at like 11 a.m. our time, which had to be like
that was
9 a.m. or whatever over there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like we came down to for breakfast at the hotel. Like the hotel wasn't even like serving breakfast yet. Like fellas, like you got to wait till 7. It's like 6:45 right now. We got to eat right now. We got to go.
We don't even got the grill on.
We literally ain't got time.
We talked about a bunch of underrated guys, and I think this matchup for you guys, you're going to see, I think, one of the most underrated, attackmen in the league in Kieran McCardle. How do you guys kind of plan to prep for what he does, knowing that he's not technically their number one option because Sowers is there, but what he's able to do, I think this year really solidified him being, a superstar caliber player. He finished as one of 2 players this year to finish with 40-plus points, and the other was Lyle Thompson. So what's kind of the plan of attack to go up against Kieran?
Yeah, I think he definitely was undervalued this year, as well as I honestly even think Sowers was a little bit undervalued. I think he should have been maybe up for more end of the year awards and stuff like that, and getting some name recognition maybe more than he did. But again, that kind of goes back to my first point of we're gonna have to win some individual matchups. That's a guy with Sowers there. If you fly and slide to him a lot, then he's gonna be able to find Kieran McCardle. If you slide to McCardle, he's gonna be able to skip the ball to Jack Hanna, who's shooting 8-yard step downs on you now. So again, it's not a group you can slide a ton to because of just how talented every one of them is individually. So you're gonna have to again win your matchup, and hopefully that you have more success one-on-one than they do.
Biggest matchup of the day is a group versus a guy.
Correct.
All of your Bandits guys want Dylan Ward's head. Like we all know this. They want to just plaster it up for the whole city, cut it off, and hang it up at the end of the game. It's
Game of Thrones in here.
Like what? Yeah, literally. Like what kind of vibe and stuff are you getting from those guys? Have they put any emphasis on it? Have they kind of ramped up? Like their level of play, or is it just straight business no matter what?
Those buff guys are straight business, truly. I mean, like if you follow them on social media, like they post cryo recovery, they post needles, like in their legs, whatever they're doing. They're at the gym every single day. Like I worked at camp in Rochester and stayed in Buff with some of the guys and hung out with them, and I mean they are so regimented everything they do. They work out, they go to dinner, they come back, they're sitting in their boots for the rest of the night. They're icing, they're hydrating constantly. Like they are consummate professionals when it comes to how they operate and the way they treat their bodies. So. No, I think it's going to be all business. I will say it was nice to be able to win without Josh having an atomic day, scoring 10 points. Hopefully that's in the chamber. I texted him earlier this week. I was like, are you going to score 10 goals when we win? And he was like, I don't know, man. I hope so. So, again, hopefully, everybody still has goals left in them and they have a little bit of that memory of not only just the one-on-one match with Wardo, but I think losing a championship, does something to you. It really hurts after all the work you put in. So, hopefully they can feel as if, this is a kind of climax, a mountaintop of, what they're climbing to. And, if our team has success, we can kind of give them that championship they're chasing.
What was the, when everybody came back this year from the NLL championship, what was kind of that first time at practice, first locker room like when they all flooded back in?
Oh yeah, well, you guys probably know this, but they all travel together. You
Right.
never just get one buff guy by himself. You get 5, and now with Adler, you sometimes get 6. Adler is the sneaky doesn't count, but
He's the one sitting with the middle seatbelt.
Yeah, exactly. Adler's. Oh, no, it was great. We probably didn't start practice for 45 minutes just because it was rounds of hugs. Seeing guys, first time seeing a lot of those guys since the finals from the year before. So being able to talk to them, hang out with them, and then they take forever to get ready as it is. I mean, they retape their sticks for practice, and then they retape their sticks for the bus, and then they retape their sticks for the hotel, and then they retape their sticks for breakfast, and then they baby powder it. And I'm like, fellas, come on, we're just line drills here, just passing and catching. But again, you score, I don't question you, so I'll let it go.
That's
Another
incredible.
Going to be key this week is the middle of the field. Ground balls, face-offs, transition. What's you guys' approach on that? You looking to slow the game down and play more of you guys' game, or are you going to try and match the speed a little bit, or what's the plan there?
Yeah, I think we do well in transition. I think Ian McKay set a lot of picks this year for Josh Byrne coming topside and scoring. So I don't think that's something we're going to stop at all. That being said, you just got to be mindful, and you got to be more alert to some of their guys in transition maybe than the average LSM in the league. I think Ryland slings the ball as well as any pull out there. He might sling the ball better than everybody out there, defensively speaking. So, he's somebody you definitely got to stop. They're so dominant off the wings, and their ability to then, go into pass down, pick down, set picks with Withers and Courier, do all that type of stuff. It was nice, Max having that box experience now. He has a little bit more familiarity with that. He's more comfortable, talking through some of the situations. So again, it's going to take a full team effort from us. If one guy is not focused or one guy is doing his own thing, the pack will suffer. I think plays had a quote like that last week. So again, it's not all about matching their speed. We're going to play our game for sure, but with giving due respect to all their guys that deserve it.
And for you, obviously he was on the team for a limited amount of time, but Wardo was on this chaos team in the bubble. So, what's that kind of, factor like knowing that he's a former teammate?
Yeah, now me and Wardo were teammates for 20 days. It was pretty dope in the bubble. He's an awesome guy. I don't think there's anybody in the league that knows him that won't say how good of a guy he is.
Yeah.
He comes up, says, hey, talks to you, chops it up. It was actually interesting this past weekend in Audi. The way the locker room was set up, they just put a thin curtain sheet in between the Waterdogs and our locker room. So I ran back at halftime early, and they're all just laying out there shirtless, hanging out, having a good time. They don't have to go, the flight's not for a couple hours, they can hang out for a minute, and we're all in there sweating, talking game plan and stuff like that. So, but yeah, Wardo's right there. Hey Jack, forget him. Cool, calm, good dude though. Really, really good dude.
Yeah, love so Dylan awesome. Ward. That's amazing. What's the excitement level for Philly? Obviously, you have some family that lives in Philly as well, and you guys played the semifinal there to go to last year's championship. So, what's the excitement of going back to Subaru?
Oh, I mean, anytime you have a chance to play for a championship, it's the most important thing in your life at that time. So, it's all we've been able to think about this week. Haven't slept great, so I want to be able to get up there. I'm glad I'm going up Friday, not just the day before normal. Get up there, get acclimated, get myself something to eat maybe. So, I don't know. It should be fun.
Hopefully better than what RJ's been eating, because he doesn't ask the Philly aficionados where to fucking eat a cheesesteak. And
oh, no. I got some better recommendations. I got some better people in my corner than RJ.
Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous.
No doubt that I will be steered the right direction from you guys.
Well, here's what you should be drinking while you're in Philly.
Good old Kenwood beer.
Kenwood beer.
All right, let's get him in the locker room. Post game sponsor.
Facts.
How are we?
I don't know how AB will feel about that. Athletic Brewing might want to fight.
Yeah, actually, I think they are trying for a secondary one like that. Was what people have been talking about. The guys ask. It's not something that goes unspoken. It's something guys think. So I'm not, but they've assured us that it's something that's on their minds. So I don't know from who, what, or when, but yeah.
How sick was it to see yourself on a Friday beer shirt?
Very cool. The Towers one is maybe the best shirt I own right now. Like, if
Yes.
Like, I've spent like decent money on some things, and like that's the coolest T-shirt I own. No, that was very solid. I actually DM'd the Friday Beers account on Instagram, and they said they were going to send me a T-shirt. So we'll see if it gets delivered. I told them I'd wear it for the finals. If it, so it's the ball's in their court. They have my address and my size, and we've been in the DMs together. So we talked. We'll see if they come through with their end of the bargain.
Yeah, those turned out pretty sick. I was like, all right, sick. The boys are on Friday beer shirts.
That, and I got a special sneaker purchase for the finals. Not expensive, nothing rowdy, but like I went and got a new pair of shoes for this. Excited, break them out.
Love to see that.
Yeah.
Man's is about to pop out with like a new pair of Hey Dudes or something.
It'd be good.
That would be hilarious.
I can't share. I gotta be on spot.
We love it. Any final thoughts for the people listening, watching, going into Philly, your expectations for this game and, just kind of the mindset?
I appreciate talking to you guys. It's always a blast, but should be a good week in Philly. Obviously, it would be better if the Cows come out with a W, but I'm super excited to get up there. It's a great team. It's a team we've never beaten. So again, that's going to be a little bit better for us. Hopefully go out there and again, kind of have like the ultimate turnaround on our season, which is what we've been trying to do. So yeah, looking forward to it.
And as AT always says, let's fucking go.
Fucking go.
Shout out to Jack for hopping back on the show. It's always, it's playoff time when Jack Rowlett is popping on the podcast. A lot of good insight there from the matchups that are going to be taking place. A lot of just fun season banter and everything with Jack. It's always fun to have him on the show.
Absolutely. Jack's a class act. Amazing guy to talk to. Hilarious. Gives great insight. And I mean, he has no problem answering the questions that have absolutely like nothing to do with lacrosse or not a ton to do with lacrosse. And, he's just, I can't wait to sit down and have a beer with him post his career. Like, that is what I'm looking forward to. That's the best thing that about Jack is I know that like when he's done playing lacrosse, he's going to be a guy I can hit up when I'm down in the DC area and be like, yo, let's hit up, Mission or whatever and grab a beer and we'll just chat it up and like, it'll be awesome.
I can't wait for everybody to see his shoes. No spoilers.
Because we don't have any.
But I can't wait for everybody to see his shoes. I'll leave it at that. Shout out to the homie hopping on. And, you look at this Waterdogs team, Deej, they've overcome a lot of obstacles this season, tons of injuries throughout the year, especially when they've matched up against the Whip Snakes. Very interesting anecdote there. 3 matchups against the Whips and 3 times that big-time injuries have happened.
Certain player.
I feel bad for some of the guys that did get injured because you never want to see anybody go down, and you want a championship game to feature the best of the best on your roster. So wishing for a speedy recovery to Stevie DiNapoli and Mikey Schlosser because their statuses are obviously unknown, but it didn't look great from our vantage point for either of them. So hopefully they get back healthy and are ready to rock and roll. If somehow, some way are playing this weekend, that's unbelievable. And those doctors that are working on them should get the biggest of raises, or hopefully they just get healthy and they're ready to rock and roll for the Dogs next season. But this Waterdogs team has evolved. It's almost like watching a puppy grow into a full-grown dog. They've kind of reached that full-grown dog status, where in 2020, weird circumstances, you're an expansion team, and then you're thrust into a 2.5-week bubble situation because of a worldwide pandemic, and you don't get real time to mesh as a team. It's a weird situation, so you kind of look at that and you take it with a grain of salt. And following that season, a lot of changes happened to the roster. 2021 rolls around, and somehow the Waterdogs wind up being the number 1 seed based off of score differential in the entire PLL. and then get knocked off after getting that bye week, and they kind of just, lost a little momentum. And now they're the 5 seed, and they're playing for their first championship. And I think that just speaks to the testament of Coach Copeland putting the pieces of the puzzle together the way that he and his coaching staff feel fit this team the best. And, Eli brings it up in our discussion with him and our conversation with him. Like, it's almost like Michael Sauer's rookie season this year. Played in one full game in 2021 in the regular season, and then obviously played in the semifinal game that they ended up losing. But this was his first full season in the PLL, which I wonder if they'll ever do that in lacrosse, where you have to play a certain number of games for it to actually count as your rookie year. They do that in baseball. They do that in basketball. I wonder if they'll ever do that to kind of justify rookie status and everything like that. Because to me, like, this was Michael Sauer's rookie year in a lot of ways.
And you could see it at times. He had, there were moments where,
especially early on.
Yeah, where he just kind of was like frantic, or like didn't necessarily know what to do, or was like, oh, this is what's happening now, or like was surprised at like the level of like aggression, or like the level of play, or like the speed. Like, he had to adjust to the game, and you could tell he was making that adjustment like a rookie was. And no slight to him, because he made the adjustments very quick, and his game picked up kind of like that. Like, once he made all the adjustments, he soared. He soared through the roof. But he definitely had adjustments to make at the beginning.
Yeah, and I mean, you also look at just the adversity they've overcome. Multiple stints without Ryan Brown, who was kind of the big trade piece for them following the bubble. You look at just the way this defense has been able to mesh and become one of the more formidable units in all of the PLL, and Eli talks about that as well in our conversation. And then you look at the young bucks that I think have really evolved this team. Shout out to Pulski, because I'm about to make a Pokemon reference. Going from Charmeleon to Charizard, like, Ethan Walker and Jack Hanna have changed the trajectory of this team's midfield so much, and and we saw it last year with Ethan Walker. Like, when he got inserted into the lineup, like, their offense changed like no other. It opened up so many passing lanes. It gave them opportunities to set up plays, gave them opportunities to set up their vision, and those two have truly changed the outlook and future, and the now, quite frankly, of this Waterdogs team for who knows how long.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've done a phenomenal job at coming in and, just playing and sprinkling their personality on the game. We talked to Eli about, how they play with their personalities but stay so calm. And he mentioned the mix of veteran and young guys, and the young guys come in just trying to play and learn. And I think that's very key, especially in a league like this, where every team is that mix. So if you're not listening to your veterans, it's gonna be noticed, because you're gonna lack, because their veterans will take advantage of you. So they've done a great job of bringing their young guys in and not making them feel like they're young guys, but also still reminding them that they have things to learn, and they're picking up on those things quickly. So I think they have a great team dynamic there that's working in a way that allows the young guys to shine and feel important.
Yeah, and I think just the way that they've been able to mesh youth and experience on this team while evolving, while still, kind of getting to the promised land of where they want to be as a franchise has been super impressive. I think Coach Copeland has attacked, just roster construction so well as an expansion team. And I think, the Waterdogs earned this spot in the championship game. It was no easy task for them to get there. They had to go through Atlas, who had the MVP on their roster. And then you have to go against the 2-time champion, go 9-1 in the regular season Whipsnakes. But as we've said on this show, and we've said to multiple people, the Waterdogs played the Whipsnakes the best of any team in the PLL this season, hands down. They're the only team to have beaten the Whipsnakes in the regular season. And it showed again that they were the most formidable opponent for that Whipsnakes team. Were able to go pound for pound with them in every phase of the game, and they earned their spot in this championship matchup.
Yeah, and it's not saying that other teams couldn't have been in that spot or couldn't have beat them, because we've seen other teams be in 1-goal games, but the consistency of the Waterdogs being in 1-goal games, the consistency of the Waterdogs leading those games and having the Whipsnakes crawling back fighting, the consistency of Kieran McCardle coming through and being an absolute beast in those fourth quarters of those games. Like, that's the part that sets the Waterdogs aside from these other teams that are in 1-goal games. With the Whipsnakes, those teams were coming back with the Whipsnakes having a 3 or 4 goal lead and just not having enough. Those teams weren't having a guy going off in the fourth quarter putting pressure on the Waterdogs or on the Whipsnakes going back and forth because they were already in the game. Sure, you can look at the Redwoods when they played the Whipsnakes. They had Ryder Garnsey start to pop off and have an amazing fourth quarter, but they were trailing and needed him to do that to get back into the game. Versus Kieran doing it when they were down 1, he scores, 2 goals, 3 goals, and, it's a tie game because he goes back and forth with Zed and Rambo on the other side. Like, that is the difference between a Waterdogs playing the Whipsnakes versus anyone else playing the Whipsnakes.
And I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face, postseason included. Kieran McCardle is going to lead the PLL in scoring this year. Should have been nominated for MVP. But I'm super stoked for Trev, and we'll talk about the end of year awards towards the end of the show as well. But I think without any further ado, we kick it to our conversation with first-time All-Star, defenseman, number 25 for the Waterdogs Lacrosse Club, Eli Gobrecht. Welcome back to the show, and it's a fun one, so you're going to want to buckle up for this sit-down with Eli Gobrecht. All right, everybody, we always do it big on OTB for Championship Week, and what better way than to have friend of the program, noted Philly sports fan, Eli Gobrecht of the Waterdogs, heading to the championship for the first time in the PLL, rejoining the show. Eli, first of all, congrats on the dub in D.C. Welcome back to the show, and how pumped are you for Championship Weekend to be in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I don't think there's a better place to have a championship game, so we're excited. Pumped to be back with the team for another weekend. That's what it's all about, and can't wait to play again this weekend.
We've talked a bunch on this show about just how well, and we were talking before we started recording, like how well you guys as a team have played against that Whipsnake squad. What was kind of the mindset going into matchup number 3 against them? It's always tough to beat a team twice in a season, and both times you guys played them, the overtime loss the first time, then a 1-goal game the second time, and for whatever reason, the Whipsnakes always just find a way to get guys injured on your team whenever you play against them, so you're always playing men down as well. What was, just the intensity out there on the field, like playoff atmosphere, playing against that team, knowing, their pedigree and their stature in the league being, the gold standard?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a team that everyone's been chasing since the PLL started, basically. So, our mindset was kind of similar to the last few games we played them. Like, the face-off battle we knew was going to be massive. Joe Nardella is an incredible player. And Earhart on the wings is probably the best guy in the league with a long pole. So we knew we had to make it a 50-50 scrap off the draws, and knew that goaltending play would be huge. So I think, Withers and Courier and Reeser did an awesome job making that face-off a battle. And Dylan Ward was, Dylan Ward in net. So that's all you can ask for from him.
This matchup features a lot of history, I would say. You guys going up against Chaos, obviously dating back to the MLL, especially in 2018 when you guys won that championship with the Outlaws. How cool is it just to, see a bunch of you guys on this Waterdogs team that played together, a few guys that were on that Rattlers team in 2018 on this Chaos squad, and just the amount of history that is also kind of going into this championship game?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I came into the league in Denver 5 years ago, which is crazy, and was able to win one with a lot of those guys that are in that game on the Chaos and on the Waterdogs. So there's definitely some history there, and We kind of respect the championship and playoff experience that those guys have, and it's definitely a battle of guys that are experienced in these games, and I think it's going to come down to the team that makes less mistakes, basically.
And last year for you guys, obviously being the 1 seed, it was one of those kind of out of nowhere experiences for people watching at home. I feel like we're in the bubble, it was a different atmosphere for everybody. You guys were the expansion team, kind of trying to gel in just unmitigated circumstances. Obviously, with the pandemic going on, your first time together is in a bubble situation. Then last year, you guys get that 1 seed, but unfortunately lose to that Whipsnake squad in the semifinals. Now this year, you kind of, start off a little slow, then you go on that win streak, get real hot, and then now you're headed to the championship game. In your opinion, what are, some similarities and some differences from the 3 years you've been on this Waterdogs team that you guys have kind of carried on this championship run?
Yeah, I think it starts just with our leadership with Coach Copeland. He's kind of said all year, this thing never goes in a straight line. Obviously we start 0-3, and we're waiting to get Dylan Ward back, and just trying to gel. Early in the season, it wasn't going great, and then we go on this 5-game win streak, and then you lose the last 2 regular season games. So I think we've really kind of been battle tested this year. We've had to deal with injuries, guys in and out of the lineup, and things not always going our way. So I think coming into this game and with the experience of last year playing in the semifinals against that Whipsnakes team, we knew it was going to be a difficult game, but I just feel like we were super prepared for this game, just with the amount of film and preparation that we did during the week. We were super confident coming in, and we're able to squeak out a 1-goal win, luckily.
And I know DJ will probably follow up with this being a defensive guy, but I feel like everyone talks about that Whipsnakes defensive unit because of how long they've played together. Everybody talks about the Archers defense because of how big-bodied they are with Matt McMahon, with Graham, and when Warren's not injured, he's out there as well. And you have Scott Ratliff out there kind of stepping up, playing close defense this year. You have people talking about the Redwoods defense. I feel like nobody really talks about this Waterdogs defense and how good as a unit you guys are. Just talk to me about what it's like playing, with Liam, with Ben, and just the way you guys are able to perform as a unit and just go out there game in, game out, and just kind of fly under the radar as like the most underrated defensive unit out there in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because last year going into training camp, Burnsy, Ben, and I had never played together. I think we'd probably met each other in passing, but I still remember that first practice of training camp last year being like, just trying to remember everybody's names, like communicating as we got into some 6-on-6 and just getting to know each other. So it's definitely been an area that we focus on, just trying to get closer off the field over the past couple of years. And I think Burnsy and Ben and I are really close at this point, and we try to communicate a lot during the week and just talking about matchups. And Burnsy is definitely like a glue guy for us. He covers up a lot of space off ball. He's an excellent communicator, and he is also like really versatile. He can bump up to the midfield and kind of make plays all over the field. And then Randy is just like an unbelievable cover guy, and he's been that way since he came into the MLL, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So for me, it was kind of like just trying to figure out how to play off those two guys, because I think they're both incredible defenders, and I just wanted to, be able to do whatever I can do to help the team, whether that's guarding like a secondary dodger or playing more of an off-ball guy or bumping up to the midfield. So I think we're really unselfish as a group, and playing in front of Wardo, we have a ton of confidence of where we want Dodgers to go, what kind of shots he wants to see, and then if there's any leaks in the faucet, Wardo does a really good job of cleaning those up.
Yeah, so you just brought up, playing in front of Dylan Ward, but you also have Matt DeLuca, who I am very fond of. If you go back and listen to any pod that we talk about DeLuca, it's like a 5-minute rant of me begging Nat St. Laurent to trade for him. But, what are some of the like small, like nuanced differences with playing with DeLuca and Net versus Ward?
Yeah, I think DeLuca is really, really cerebral. And I don't know if people catch it on the broadcast, but he's usually got like the film pulled up on the little iPad on the sideline, and he's the first guy to kind of make a point in our huddle, and he will actually speak up quite often in our D meetings with some really good points. So we really trust like his knowledge of the game, and I think he helps us with our game planning. And then when he is in the net, he's an awesome goalie, and we struggled early in the year, and I think he took some of the brunt of that, which I think was not really accurate because our defense as a whole was not playing that great. But when Wardo came back and Wardo was on the sideline, our first game against the Chaos, it was Deluxe and net making huge saves and kind of helping us get that win. So I think they play a different style. Like they're both big, rangy goalies, but DeLuca is an awesome goalie, and he's an incredible teammate. Like he's super unselfish in terms of understanding his role, whether that's in the net or on the sideline. I think he adds a ton of value to our team, no matter what he's doing.
I think one of the cool things, kind of just stepping away from the matchup this weekend, Fate of a Sport comes out, during the season, and it's going to be on ESPN on Thursday. And one, I feel like a lot of people forget that you started your PLL career with the Archers, and two, you know, you can't feature 145 phone calls between Paul Rabel and Mike Rabel and everybody. What was kind of your story, your journey of, connecting with Paul and Mike and making that jump from the MLL to the PLL?
Yeah, so I think, everybody kind of heard rumblings even towards the end of the 2018 season, the MLL. So obviously, like being with the Outlaws and understanding that we were making a playoff run, it wasn't something that was like in the forefront of my mind, but we knew there was going to be a new league. And the first I heard of it was from Drew Snyder, because he's really close with Rabel and a bunch of the Team USA guys. And I think the first contact I got was just an email or something, kind of like an invitation to sign up for the league. And that was probably a week or two after the MLL championship game in 2018. So obviously was excited about the prospect. I thought it was kind of a cool new idea, and that seemed like most of the best players in the MLL who weren't under contract were already signed up and looking to move over. So initially, I was on that list and I was going to join. And, we obviously in Denver, we had a really good situation. And coming off winning a championship my rookie year, it was not something that I was, I guess, ready to leave right away as I talked to teammates. Talking to Zach Courier and Dylan Ward and Mikey Schlosser and Max Adler, among other guys, we just sort of collectively within that kind of core group were like, hey, like I want to do this for another year. And we have a really good situation. We play at Mile High. We're owned by the Broncos, and we just won a championship together. And it kind of came down to really that, like sticking around with those teammates for another year. So I didn't talk to Paul directly that much, but Schreiber was actually the guy who was representing the league, who I had a ton of conversations with, and he was very understanding about it. He kind of understood my reasoning and sort of feeling a little bit of loyalty to Denver. So that conversation ended up the way it did, and I kind of told him, hey, I'm going to stick around for another year, but after this, I'm definitely looking to come over. And it was ironic that the Archers ended up drafting me, but Tom was kind of the main guy that I communicated with, and he was very understanding and excited to get me over to the PLL. Kind of once I ran out my contract in MLL, but it was a really tough decision. It was obviously something unknown, the PLL at that time, and felt confident that it was going to be successful, but knew that what we had kind of built in Denver was really special and just wasn't quite ready to leave that behind yet.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at this championship game, it's flooded with Denver Outlaws, like we mentioned. But looking at some of the younger guys on this Waterdogs team, too, that have been able to kind of, make big splashes, no pun intended, for you guys this year. Most notably, Philly guy Michael Sowers playing in his first full season. What's it like being around him, just on and off the field, seeing the just ridiculous things he's able to do with the ball in his stick and kind of be a young leader on this team?
Yeah, Mikey's an awesome guy off the field. I think, you know, everyone in our locker room is, but he's just a fun guy to be around, and he's always got a smile on his face. And once he kind of crosses over that line onto the field, he turns into that ultimate competitor, and you have a ton of confidence when that guy's on your team and the ball's in his stick. He to give him credit, he's going up against the other team's best defender every time he steps on the field, and he pretty much delivers every time. But going back to last year, he only played 2 games. He played the first game and was dealing with some injuries, and then he came back and played our semifinal game. So, like, even though it's his second year, it kind of felt like, this was really his first year in the PLL, and just speaking with him, managing those expectations too of like, hey, you've only played 2 games, like you're still figuring it out, but it's going to work. And I think as the year went on, his confidence kind of grew, and he really started to attack the goal and understand and be a leader within our offense. So it's been awesome playing with him. Like, I'm really glad I don't have to guard him, because anytime that happens in practice, it does not go well for me.
Been there. It's not fun playing the best guy in practice. But you brought up the competition level that you guys have as a team. You guys play so calmly with that competition level, but you guys still have the passion and all the energy and personality that every other team has. How do you guys keep yourselves so calm?
Yeah, I think it goes back to just guys with experience in those big games. Like, Dylan Ward has won at every level. He's an all-world goalie. He's won a gold medal with Team Canada. He's won in the MLL. He's won in the NLL. He's won in senior. He's won in junior. So I think stemming from that, it gives us a ton of confidence knowing that guy's our brick wall behind the foundation. So we also have guys like Mikey Schlosser, who was on that Outlaws championship team. Guys like Zach Courier, again, who's won at every level. And just up and down our roster, there's a really good mix of experience and youth. And I think, like, even guys like Kieran McCardle, who's been playing for 9 years, and this is his first time in the championship game, he's been like a really, really good calming presence for us, especially late in games when the ball's in his stick. Just good things seem to happen. And then, you look at other guys too, like Connor Kelly, who has a championship pedigree going back to college and winning one with the Whipsnakes his first year in the PLL. There's just a kind of a quiet confidence with the group, and I think that's something that our captains do a great job of instilling too, with Steve DiNapoli and Liam Burns. And we just are confident that no matter what situation we get ourselves into, we can find a way to win. And that's something that Coach Copeland talked about a lot this week too, especially when we were down 2 goals at multiple points in the game. He just said, like, when you guys are in a hard situation, that is when you're at your best. And I think we all really believed that. And just myself especially, I've been trying to focus on just staying in the moment during these playoffs and not worrying about what the score is, and just trying to really focus my energy on what's going on right now and what I can do to, make a positive impact on my teammates and help us win.
Do you think there's going to be, obviously it's a championship game, there's going to be added intensity, but knowing who's going to be coming in your guys' direction defensively and Wardo behind you, knowing that Josh Byrne, Dane Smith, Chase Frazier, Chris Kluche, and the rest of those Bandits boys just are, still fresh in their mind that they lost an NLL championship against Dylan Ward. How much added intensity on top of it being another championship go-round for those guys do you think there's going to be in your guys' matchups against them?
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of respect for those guys. As a guy who's kind of found box lacrosse later in my career and started to play more in the NLL, like, I'm really familiar with most of their games just from the indoor perspective, and I know that a lot of them have had success in the indoor game. Dane Smith was the MVP a couple years ago. Kluche's really found a home in Buffalo and been incredible for them. And Josh Byrne has been one of the better players in the league in the NLL and in the PLL and MLL for a long time. So they have the experience of playing in big games, whether it's box lacrosse or field lacrosse. And I think there's a lot of parallels between our two teams where there's just guys who show up in the biggest moments and have their best when they need it the most. And I think with both of us, you might not always see that earlier in the regular season, but for some reason, when it gets harder and when it gets more intense, that brings the best out of both of our teams.
I'd be remiss because I'm pretty sure the last time you were on the show was during the NLL season. I'm dubbing you guys the San Diego Super Seals. Talk to me about this off season and just seeing the just ridiculousness that has gone on with the Seals in terms of bringing in Curtis Dixon, Kevin Crowley. Like, this team is loaded.
Yeah, the first I kind of heard about it was I had a FaceTime call with Trey LeClaire when I was working I think a tryout or camp or something. He's like, "Hey, do you know who we just signed?" I was like, "No, did we get Dixon? Did we get Crowley?" He's like, "No, we got both of them." I was like, "Wow, that is insane." So I talked to Patty Merrill later that day, and he was just kind of filling me in. So, I think our offense was good last year with the Seals, but now it's like you said, it feels like a super team out the front door. So I think that definitely puts a little pressure on our defense to be at our best because we know that we have one of, if not the best offenses on paper, at least in the whole league. So I'm really excited to play with those guys. I've played against Curtis for a while, and he is an absolute headache to stop. And Kevin, I've been watching for a long time as well, and both field and box. And I know they're both really high character guys with championship pedigree. So I'm as much as I'm looking forward to this weekend. I know that a couple months down the line, it's going to be pretty awesome to be in a locker room with those guys.
And you also got one of the best face-off guys on the planet coming to San Diego with Connor Farrell now too.
Yeah,
I said they drafted Sisselberger as well, so that's going to be a battle out there.
Yeah, I guess my 38% face-off percentage was not enough, so we're looking at some other options, which I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to watch the Seals play this year, not only just because of my, relationship with Kevin and everything and seeing him go out there, and obviously our relationship as well. You guys, I think, are going to be super formidable out in that wild, wild west. Going into Sunday, though, against Chaos, what are, some things that you guys have talked about to kind of prepare for them, and what you guys have kind of picked up on film from, past times playing against those guys, and what's kind of been the message from Coach Copeland and the rest of the coaching staff to just stay, mentally locked in and be prepared for just a crazy atmosphere?
Yeah, I think we've gotten into a really good routine as a team of meeting during the week, whether we're doing that over Zoom or just FaceTimes, and really just diving into the preparation a little bit earlier in the week. So, we had a team video chat on Monday, just starting to look at the film from the other semifinal game, Archer's Chaos, and trying to pick up tendencies and see what this offense looks like. And, obviously they have some juggernauts. Like Kluche had an unbelievable game. Josh Byrne is one of the best attackmen in the world. And Dane Smith is an unbelievable distributor with the ball. So I think really we're going to focus on sticking to our identity on the defensive end and just trying to keep guys to areas where we know Wardo can make saves. And I think, this is a game where both teams are super talented. You have two of the best goalies in the world, and it's going to come down to controlling the tempo of the game and making less mistakes than the other team does.
are there matchups? Because I look at the polls that you guys have on your team, from yourself all the way at the top to Sabia at the bottom. All five of you can play all around the field, whether it's LSM or down at close. And that fluidity has been great for you guys, and not really having matchups throughout the year. Are you guys going into this game with matchups, or anything that you guys are trying to do in terms of who you're putting where, or is it kind of just play 6-man team defense?
Yeah, I won't get too specific, but there's definitely a couple matchups that we'd like to keep, whether that's a certain short stick or a certain pull on somebody. I think we've done a very good job of playing inside out as a unit the last few games. So we're not going to panic if we get into a situation where there's a matchup that we're not comfortable with from a scouting perspective. Because I think, just looking at a few games, you see, for example, like a top attackman gets matched up with a short stick. Sometimes teams are sending two guys to the ball or sending a guy immediately, and you're really creating offense. So I think part of our mentality late in the season has just been to not create offense and make sure that if we have to go, we're going to go. But we're really trying to maintain like proper matchups and play defense from the inside out and give Wardo opportunities to make saves on outside shots.
It is one of those bag of tricks things that I think Andy Towers and Chaos's coaching staff kind of hold on to for the playoffs. But whenever you guys play Chaos, do you prepare for Blaze to, run out of the cage and try to, recreate everything he did at Albany and, just his ability, to shoot the ball that he brings from the NLL playing forward for the Wings? Is that something you guys prepare for? Or is that just something that, like, in the spur of the moment, if it happens, you just got to be locked in for it?
Yeah, I think it's something that we're aware of in the back of our head. I wouldn't say we necessarily prepare for it, especially just knowing that, like, he's one of the best ball stoppers in the world. So I think a big focus for our offense is, to just shoot your shot and not get too worried about a scout or anything like that. Because you see it with Wardo too. I think guys sometimes get a little bit panicked when he steps out of the cage and they don't know what to do and end up missing the net. So I think it's definitely like something that we're aware of. I've been playing against Blaze since we were like in elementary school. So I'm definitely pretty familiar with him and have a ton of respect for his game. So hoping he doesn't come rumbling down the field, but I think we'll be ready if he does.
What do you think of the non-cup new trophy for the PLL as well? Brand new trophy, obviously paying homage to the past as well, but what were your thoughts when you saw the unveiling of the new trophy?
Yeah, I thought it looks really cool. It was kind of interesting to see the process and all the intricacies that go into making a trophy like that. So, I think it's kind of a cool step forward if that's the trophy that will continue to be the PLL championship trophy. That'd be awesome. Like, obviously being a hockey fan with the Stanley Cup, I think there's a ton of history there. And if you can kind of build something like that, especially for a league that's really only in its fourth year, that adds a little bit of allure and a little bit more mystique to that trophy for sure.
What will it mean to you? Obviously, not looking too far ahead, but if you guys are, inevitably the team hoisting that trophy, Sunday night, what will it mean to you for your career and everything to have been able to accomplish it your rookie year in the MLL and then obviously add a PLL title to your resume as well?
Yeah, that would be incredible. I mean, since coming over, 3 years ago to the league, that's been my goal, and it's been humbling to lose in the semifinals. First year with the Archers, and then last year with the Dogs. So, I think I have a different understanding of how difficult it is even just to get to this game. After winning it my first year, it was like kind of this magical run where we win a 1 or 2 goal game last regular season game in Atlanta just to make the playoffs, and then go and beat the Bayhawks by like a goal or two, and then get to the championship and win. You're not thinking this is easy, but you're like, okay, like I'll probably be back here a decent amount of times, and this is my first time being back in 5 years. So I think just with that experience, it's really important for myself and for our team just to focus on the process and really not worry about the outcomes and understand like yeah, like the two things can happen. We can either win and it's awesome, and that's going to be really an incredible feeling that I'd like my teammates to have too, just knowing what that feels like. But at the same time, I know what it feels like to lose a championship, and I think going into the game, you just have to understand that both of those are possible, and you can really only control your own kind of 10 feet of grass. And if you do that and all your teammates buy in, it's kind of like the old, I hate to say it, but the Belichick adage of do your job. And I think that's something we've had so far in terms of a team focus in the playoffs, and we need to continue to do that this weekend.
You got anything else for Eli Deej?
Yeah, just one question. You're now wearing purple pretty much year round, playing with the Seals and the Waterdogs. Could you just like rank the pro jerseys you're wearing right now, like top to bottom, which ones you think are the best?
Ooh, that's a good one. I really, really like our black jerseys that we wear on the Seals. I think we lost like the first 3 games we played in them, but I think we won our last game wearing them. So those ones are pretty awesome. I like the Waterdogs dark purple ones. Those are probably number 2, and then I think I'd go with the purple Seals jerseys, and then the lavender, I think, Waterdogs jerseys, and then the gray Seals jerseys, top to bottom.
We need the Waterdogs to whip out those blackout ones that they unveiled last year too. I'd love to see those on the field.
Yeah. Oh, I'd say the Portal Mesh jersey is probably number 1. Actually, I forgot about that
one. Was
Those
fire.
Those are pretty sick. So yeah, I'm glad most of us got to keep those, which is pretty cool. So that'll be a good one to pull out of the closet, maybe in 10 or 20 years.
Eli, it's always a blast having you on, and looking forward to seeing you on Sunday, kicking some ass out there at Subaru Park. Best of luck, and hopefully, after the game, we'll be talking to you about a championship and celebrating with you, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Shout out to Eli for coming back on the program. It's always a blast having him on the show, and it certainly will not be the last because, he's a Philly boy. Go Birds, obviously. And I think Eli brings a perspective that not a lot of people can, because, he brings up not having played or even really known Liam Burns and Ben Randall, and they've kind of meshed into just, this super defensive unit that nobody talks about. They're unheralded. They're underrated and undervalued in terms of just being as dominant as they are. And I'm excited to see him out there on the field taking on these chaotic bandits on Sunday. Let's flip the script, Deej, and talk about the defending champs. These Os boys, they're hungry. They feel slighted. Not the best regular season for them for a number of reasons. But they find a way to win in the playoffs all the time. Third straight championship game. They just don't quit on themselves. No matter what the circumstances are, they will always go out and give it 110%. I think for this team, what I'm looking forward to the most is just championship challenge. He won a championship in 2020 with the Cannons in the bubble for the MLL. He has that championship pedigree, but this is his first time playing in a championship game on Chaos in the PLL. I'm intrigued to just see how he continues to step up for this team. Jack talked about it earlier, like challenge the guy that he's the new guy, but everybody knows him. And I think playoff KJ is a thing. Like AT talked about in the press conference, like playoff Blaze, playoff Max Adler. Like, yes, those things are 100% true. But I feel like nobody brings up the fact that when the playoffs roll around, Kyle fucking Jackson is a certified menace and always is in the right place at the right time and finds a way to put the ball in the back of the net and be just an absolute force. And it was very telling when not only the Chaos guys in the press conference talked about KJ, but you also had the Archers guys talking about how well Kyle Jackson performed against them. That's the tip of the cap for a guy who I think does not get nearly enough love as he deserves.
Yeah, I thought KJ played phenomenal last weekend, and I thought he did the same thing last year. Like, I was there in Salt Lake when he exploded for 5 goals against the Archers in that quarterfinal game, and that's when I believe, like, I saw that was my birth and introduction to playoff KJ. He exploded last year and did the same thing. It was very helpful in both the semi and championship game for them last year. This year, he's continuing to do the same thing. He's another one of those players I think is just going to do his thing. Along with Chris, Josh, Dane. I'm interested to see which one of the next 3 guys that I'm going to say is going to pop off for a game, because they're all overdue for one. Ryan Smith has been getting time here and there. If he happens to play, he's definitely overdue for a game, and he's one of those sneaky guys that could just have 3 goals before you know it, and you're like, whoa, what happened? And then you also have the shooting ability of Mac O'Keefe. It hasn't been on display a ton this year, but he could definitely pop off with a few 2s or have some step downs from 10 to 12 that are going to ring a pipe and go in. Like, there are so many opportunities for him in this game. And then also a guy that plays with so much energy that's kind of been overlooked the last few games because of Chris and Josh down at attack. But our boy Chase Frazier definitely has an opportunity to pop off this game. He's going to have a tough matchup depending on which – it doesn't really matter which one of those Dogs guys he gets. It's going to be a tough matchup. But there's going to be a lot of emphasis on Chris and Josh. So there should be some opportunity for Chase to have some one-on-ones or even getting some pick-and-roll action on the backside, and or even get some cuts and be wide open for some opportunities in front. So one of those 3 guys should have a big game, and I shouldn't say should. They could have a big game, and if Chaos wants to win, then one of those guys is going to have a big game.
I'll tell you who I think it should be if Chaos wants to win. Mac O'Keefe. Because he is their true, legitimate 2-point threat. Not including, your Troy Rays and your CJ Costabiles and Jared Newmans, but like Mac is that one sneaky from range guy who can be crafty and put it in the back of the net from anywhere on the field. And when the Waterdogs have players like Rylan Reese, like Connor Kelly, who led the league in 2-pointers, I'm trying to think of who else on that team. I mean, Ethan Walker can hit from 2. Jack Hanna has hit from 2. Like, the Waterdogs have guys with range. Chaos have guys with range. But Mac O'Keefe is kind of that sneaky guy that people kind of forget about just because of the immense amount of talent on this Chaos squad, that they kind of sometimes leave him alone on an island, and, he'll make you pay for that. I think for Chaos, the big thing that I'm looking at is just who gets that. I'm sure it will be Matt Reese as that third defenseman, but I'm just intrigued to see who AT feels comfortable throwing out there in a championship game, and then just the deployment of matchups. Who's going to get Michael Sowers? Who's going to get Ethan Walker? Who's going to get Kieran McCardle? Who kind of draws that Connor Kelly matchup? Who draws, just some of these guys that this Waterdogs team, they're so crafty and so different across the board that I'm just intrigued with how AT is going to play with his chessboard throughout this game.
Definitely. This is going to be a chess master kind of game. Copeland and AT are great at making adjustments and putting the right players in the right spots. So it's going to be a lot of back and forth with that, and it's going to be a battle. But ironically, the one thing I'm looking for that I know no one else in the entire stadium is going to be looking for is how the backup goalies are going to be on the bench, because they are 2 totally different people. like DeLuca has some energy, but he does not show it a lot. He shows it in very select moments, but he's very much like an added coach on the bench, always with the iPad or the clipboard, saying this, saying that, pulling this up, pointing this out. And then you have Caught on the other side, who is just a raging ball of energy. Like that's all he has on the sideline. He's pushing guys around, he's screaming, he's shouting, he's congratulating guys, he's pointing this out, he's communicating to guys on the field, helping in the box, helping the coaching staff, and just is loud and boisterous and just has so much going on. Like I'm excited to see the difference in how that translates to the game and like how that plays in the team. Because like ironically, the way their teams play and like how they hold themselves and present themselves on the field is exactly how their backup goalies are on the benches. Chaos is very loud, in your face, got a lot going on, and play with a lot of emotion. And then you have Waterdogs who are a lot more calm, a lot more methodical, and very just laid back, but still giving it to you in the best way possible.
Yeah, and I mean, even without the backup goalies, this is going to be a battle of two Hall of Fame goalies. Blaze, we talked about Dylan Ward earlier. Blaze making that save with his wet shorts to push Chaos to the championship game. He's obviously been the best goalie in the league, and arguably was this year as well, even under the circumstances that Chaos were in. But I'm just intrigued to see these two offenses try to solve the puzzles that are Dylan Ward and Blaze Riorden. Like, it's an obvious matchup because the object of the game is to score in terms of just winning and losing, but it's going to be fascinating in a championship setting to just see who's able to kind of crack the code first on the opposing goalie.
Because I think that's what it's going to come down to. Goalie is going to be huge in this game. Championship games are huge. Obviously, both defenses are good. Both offenses are good. They're going to break each other down, and they're going to get good shots off. So it's really going to come down to face-offs, once again, which team has the ball more, and then shots on goal and goalie play, which team is making the most saves and getting shots on net.
So, I mean, what better way to pick the brain and jump into a goalie state of mind than with the 2021 PLL MVP, two-time goalie of the year, Blaze Riorden. All right, everybody, as we mentioned on the show, we do it big for championship week, and I don't think there's anything bigger than getting one of our White Whale guests and a first-time appearance on the Outside the Box podcast that has probably been 4 years in the making since I met our guy, Blaze Riorden, covering the Philadelphia Wings. He's obviously two-time goalie of the year in the PLL, the 2021 PLL MVP, and he's competing for a second straight championship now. And if you go back to the bubble, third straight. Blaze, welcome to the show. And as LeBron James once said, it's about damn time.
Yeah, I appreciate that, KB. I got to correct you. I come correct every time. Three-time goalie of the year.
There it is.
Hey, that's not a big deal. I'm not worried about that. We got much bigger things on our plate this weekend, and I appreciate the love, and I'm happy that I got the opportunity to hop on here and talk about the biggest weekend of professional lacrosse this summer. So let's roll.
We got to discuss it in the press conference last week in DC, but obviously you've made your home Philadelphia, obviously playing with the Wings, your girlfriend in Philly as well, and you just kind of made this home 2.0 for you. How special is it that you're going to be able to compete for a title, in your home city?
Yeah, I think it's obviously very special. I'm pretty active in the community. I consider this a lacrosse hotbed. You got Philly, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, all surrounding areas. It's huge in lacrosse. I got my foot in all of those doors. I run youth lacrosse camps. I run youth lacrosse teams, and I get to schools in the inner city, and I introduce the game of lacrosse. So to kind of be able to practice what I preach and, for the kids to see their coach firsthand, someone that's given them advice, someone that's tried to help them along the way, go and do it themselves, I think is going to be huge. And I got a lot of family and friends coming, and I most look forward to bringing the Os guys out to get some grub and show them around the city and, just enjoy a weekend together with a ton of magnitude on the backside.
You said all season too. Obviously, regular season, the record didn't reflect, I think, the way that you guys wanted the year to go. But as soon as, you clinched that playoff spot, the final week of the season, you and Jack Rowlett, who was on the show earlier, also said, it's a new season. Everything that happened in the regular season doesn't matter anymore. The postseason's here and we get a fresh start. And that's exactly what you guys have been able to do. You've taken advantage of the two opponents in front of you and punched your ticket to another championship game. Even in a season of ups and downs, what is it like knowing that, this team has the ability to kind of click when it actually matters, and that's the postseason, when it is win or go home every single week?
First and foremost, I think people really underestimate the hill that we have to climb as a team, having 75% of our guys be NLL and PLL players. No other professional athletes expected to mentally and physically compete 11 and a half, and in some cases, all 12 months out of the year. And, I said it last year after we won the championship, you put so much time and effort mentally and physically into achieving something. And then I look and 21 days later, it's circled that my training camp for the Wings start. And now you're starting over. And, it beats you up mentally and physically. And you have to build chemistry. The week long that we get in the PLL at training camp is really a huge development week. And when you don't have, 8 of your starting players there for the week, and then they're just coming off a devastating championship loss, there's a lot that goes into it. And we knew the end goal. We knew what needed to be accomplished in order for us to get a chance to see that finish line. And that was, going 2-8 this year, which, has obviously upset some people. And I get it. I think your body of work needs to be displayed, but at the same time, those are the rules. We made it in. And then once we were able to see that finish line, we knew all we had to do is go 3-0 for a chance to raise the crown again. And I think seeing that finish line and, having the guys, starting to click a little bit more, it just all kind of lined up at the right time. And, here we are.
And I know you as a goalie, I'm sure you're thrilled to have those Bandits guys on your side rather than having to be Dylan Ward facing them in 2 straight championship games. What is their mindset from your perspective of knowing that, they're going to get another crack at Wardo and, there's a vengeance that they want to, go out and reap and potentially, if everything goes chaos's way, which I'm sure all of you feel you have that opportunity, they're going to get that revenge on Dylan Ward.
Yeah. I first and foremost, I think Wardo, one thing that stuck out to me from playing with him in the bubble and just kind of being around the game and knowing who he is he shows up in big moments. He has a lot of championships and he's not a huge vocal guy and he's not overly athletic, but he just wins. He's a winner. He's got this demeanor to him. And, you saw that in the NLL championship and just talking with the guys, man, it's like, you talk about revengeance and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this version, the goal 6x6 and the ball is pretty small, I wouldn't worry. I always tell my kids, don't worry about what's in the net. Look at the net, see the net. And I think the less they think about it and the more they just play and, shoot their spinning shots and they're behind the backs and they're around the worlds and they're not focused on what else is in front of them, I think is going to give us our best opportunity to win. With that being said, I know these guys deep down, they're competitors. I know they have a stinging sensation at the bottom of their stomach. So I'm sure I'm going to get the brunt of that in practice on Saturday, which I guess is what I signed up for. But hopefully it translates this Sunday and they can light the lamp on their end and Max continues to do what he does at the X and we can settle in and start playing some good 6-on-6 defense early and then just, kind of, keep our foot down for the full 48 minutes.
And then I'm sure Deej is going to follow up on this because I kind of asked Jack Rowlett a similar question, but, Jack and Jared have been in front of you the first 4 years of the PLL. They've been kind of the anchors of this defense, and then you've had that, quote unquote third spot kind of rotate a little bit this year with just, some new guys on the roster. Matt Reese coming back. What's it been like for you, kind of just being in control, those guys in front of you, seeing everything in front of them, and just working with a multitude of guys now, along with Jack and Jared?
Yeah, I'm sure those guys will, I'm sure they would tell you the same thing, but I'm not a control guy. Like, I'm not telling them how they need to play. I'm not telling them don't do this, don't do that. In my eyes, they've got to where they are, being themselves. Something Coach Marr really instilled in me at Albany is that you're here for a reason, and you have a certain set of skills that maybe the next guy doesn't, and it's your job to use those skills. And I'm more of the voice of reason. I like to calm everyone down, or if we let in a couple goals, I'll just, my fault. Hey, don't worry about it. Let's get the next one. But as far as like that third guy, man, like, last year in that championship game, like through that playoff run, like people didn't talk about Johnny Surdick enough, man. Like that dude locked it down in the playoffs. And like this year, Matt Reese, dominating that third spot for us. And I think just guys being, I think it's a product of them feeling comfortable being down there, knowing that they're not on a leash, knowing that they're not going to get yelled at by me. Just go out, play your game, be physical. We're going to fly around. We're going to have your back. And, if you do get beat, like that's why I'm standing in the net. I'm supposed to, bail you out, and I'm going to do that to the best of my ability. And let's just run for 48 minutes and be hungry. And you see the guys just flourishing around me. They've, this defense has been nothing short of spectacular the last 2 weekends. So hopefully we can put together a third.
You talk about Johnny Surdick and Matt Reese not getting enough love. I think a guy who didn't get like pretty much any love this year in terms of media and just out on, Twitter and stuff on socials was Zach Geddes. Not necessarily from you guys, just from everyone else. Like no one talked about Zach and like that third spot he filled in that short stick D mid lineup. Just what was it like playing with him and how important was he to you guys?
Yeah, I think both Zach and Brett Kennedy, they got to playing games, and when they showed up on the weekends and when they showed up at training camp, like guys talked about it, man. Like they both had this kind of aura around them that they were both mature, like pro ready right off the get-go. And it's hard to come into a team that's had success and their true testament of who they are as people and who they are as competitors are, the last 4 weeks, they haven't been in the lineup, but they're on the Zoom calls every single week. And, they're texting us before the game and they're still being students of the game. And, I kind of explained to them that I was a 4-year backup in the MLL too, first time ever. And this is part of the ride. And this is really going to show, when you say you're willing to do whatever it takes, like this is part of whatever that takes. And they've handled it like pros. And, they both stand out in their own way. But, talking about Zach, man, like at times, like if he gets in the open field, he will be the fastest player on the field. And there's no doubt about that. And he's got a bright future. And I'm just happy that we've been able to kind of build a relationship and develop a little bit. And I'm expecting big things down the road from him.
You've gotten a chance now too. You brought up ads, and AT brings up you and Max Adler a ton, playoff Blaze, playoff Max. I brought this up to him in the press conference, and I want to get your perspective now that you've gotten a chance to kind of almost play with him this entire year. Playoff Kyle Jackson, how valuable is he to this team, and what do you think it is about KJ that when, the postseason lights turn on, he's shining the brightest, and he just goes out there and he's, putting balls in the back of the net that nobody would even think about doing?
Yeah, I think for him, it's like, the harder you work, like he's someone that can go 10 games in the regular season and have 5 goals, but every single shift that he's out there, he's doing the right thing. He's running hard to set his pick. He's getting tough ground balls. He's getting off when coach is calling. And I think the more consistent you are, the luckier you get. And he just happens to be someone that the lights never really get too bright for him. And, if you focus on that, first tier of guys, if you're too worried about Byrne and Dane Smith and Challen and those guys, well, here you are. Here's Kyle Jackson putting a hat trick up on you in the biggest game of the year. And His maturity, you know, we talk about him having 2 kids, but just his maturity as a player, and as a teammate, like it's never been about Kyle Jackson. It's always been about our team, and you know, good things happen to good people, and it always lines up that he comes up in huge moments for us. And you know, I kind of think that's the identity of our team. You think about all these Canadian dudes, like we grow up, like they grow up, and when we play in box series, you're playing, you know, best 4 out of 7 series from the time you're, you know, 15 to the time you're done playing box lacrosse in the summer. And those are grueling series. You know what I mean? You're playing back-to-back games, and you know, so I think like the toughness during playoffs like really stems from being able, like they've gone so deep their whole life, like playing in 7 games in 9 days of box lacrosse with wooden sticks, that like these moments aren't too big, and they're willing to go to those depths. And you know, it's kind of our identity and our team maturity. And that's one thing that, you know, I kind of told these guys, that our wins haven't come from talent. They haven't come from that. It's come from our team maturity. We're a young team. If you look at our, you know, age compared to most, I'd say I think we're probably the 3rd youngest team in the league. And we didn't take 1 penalty last weekend. We didn't go off sides 1 time last weekend. You know, we didn't throw the ball over someone's head clearing the ball 1 time. That's team maturity. And that at the end of the day is what's going to, you know, help us put ourselves in the most successful position come this weekend.
Yeah, you talk about Canadian guys. The next 2 guys I'm going to talk about are far from Canadian, but definitely do the job, and they do it very well. You guys might have the best 1-2 LSM punch in the league between CJ Costabile and Troy Ray. Just like, how important is it having those guys in the middle of the field doing what they do?
Yeah, I'll never, you know, I played with Troy at Albany. Like I look at him almost like a little brother. Like I never, you know, I'll give him a hug before every game and tell him I love him. But other than that, I'll never tell him that he played great. I'll never tell him that he, you know, that he shut down the best midfielder in the world. I'll never tell him that he came up with 3 of the biggest ground balls. You know, his fuel comes from within, and thinking that no one respects him. And, you know, like if you look at his body of work, man, like he's 6 years into professional lacrosse, started every single game as an LSM, and, you know, has the duty of guarding their best midfielder, and he's done a great job, you know. And then you add CJ, like a veteran with like so much swagger, and like his aura and demeanor, like the way he walks around, like that's a bad dude, man. Like he don't have to say much, and you know, he's scoring goals and he's still doing it. And you know, you look at him at the end of the game, and you know, I'm drained, and I look at him and he's just, you know, solid as can be, you know, ready to play another 48 minutes. And he's just, you know, a huge, great 1-2 punch between, you know, a fiery Troy Ray and just, you know, a veteran, calm presence of CJ that, you know, at any time, you know, if we need a 2-ball, if we need to push transition, like those 2 are more than capable of making it happen. And that gives us a little insurance on the DN, knowing that we have those two guys.
You know, looking at this game plays, the Waterdogs, we were doing some research when Jack was on the show with us. They're the only team Chaos have not beaten in franchise history. You guys have not notched a win somehow against the Dogs yet, and I think no better way for you guys to, you know, end that streak than with a championship on top of it. But you look at, you know, the guys that they pose a threat with on offense, with Michael Sowers, Kieran McCardle this year having a career year, potentially Ryan Brown coming back from injury. And then you look at the 2 young bucks with Jack Hanna and Ethan Walker out there as well. From your perspective, what are some things that, you know, they do really well that you guys are trying to key in on and really prevent them from, you know, executing their style of play?
Yeah, from a team standpoint, like they're, you know, they're not someone that if you come out and play the first 5 minutes hard and you get a lead on them, that they're going to roll over. Like they're tough. They have winners. You're going to have to play a full 48 minutes against them, you know, and you have to know that going in, that they're going to go 48 deep on you. And then you add, you know, key pieces. You talk about the middle of the field, Zach Courier, and you talk about Wardo. But offensively, you know, they're extremely unselfish. And I think they have shooters all over the field. I think they're willing to make the one more at all times. I think if you let them dictate what they want to do, meaning Kieran can, he can see the field and his hands are free and he's dancing around, like he's gonna make a play. Like they're similar to us, that we don't need 5 yards of space to create a shot. Like they have slick players, they have players that can shoot the ball all over the field, and the key against these guys is kind of bringing it to them and getting them outside their comfort zone, and stopping the initial dodge. And they have midfielders that love to initiate. Jack Hanna's obviously a big initiator. Connor Kelly rolling back, both hands threat, like you got to be ready to slide. And then Zach Currier, we talk about, he's not out of scoring range until he's 5 yards below GLE. So it's like, if you gotta study the knowns, you gotta know the knowns, you gotta defend that, and then you have to apply a little pressure so they don't ever get comfortable and get kind of their flow going, because that's when they get dangerous. And that's the things we're going to focus on. And I think it's going to be a great matchup.
And looking at that defensive matchup, obviously Kieran's been the go-to guy down at attack, so that's going to be handled in some form. I don't know exactly who's going to go down there. I'm sure you're not going to share that either. But what is the plan in terms of them moving the ball, sliding, and just handling everyone else outside of Kieran?
Yeah. I think the one thing that we've really focused on as a team is playing as a 6-man unit. Like we kind of been flying around. And I think where we kind of establish ourselves is that we're willing to slide and we're willing to fly around the field. And, if that means giving up a 15, 14-yard shot, like that's something we feel pretty comfortable with. I think we were having trouble in the beginning of the season identifying whether it was an actual threat on the dodge or if it was more what we consider a dummy dodge, like a dodge just to move the ball. And we started identifying that against the Chrome, with their middies. Like if they're not going to dodge hard to score, like they're not going to earn that slide. And I think that's important with these guys. If you give them a slide and then the ball's doing the work, like that's when they're most dangerous. Like if you make them get the ball stuck in their stick for 15 seconds, rolling back and forth, that's not as much their game. So just not giving them a free, pass to move the ball around our offense and get us spinning and trying to keep up with the ball. It's a saying that you learn in youth lacrosse, the ball moves faster than your feet. So we don't want to put ourselves in that situation, and that's, sticking to the minuscule details.
Any plans into how have you guys been looking at their roster? Because obviously no one knows. I don't even think they know who's going to step out Sunday until that happens on Sunday. Are you guys paying attention to that at all with the injuries and stuff, or are you guys just going to go out and the 6 that are out there are going to be the 6 you defend?
Yeah, it's tough because you want to assume Ryan Brown's going to be playing. You hate to see what happened to Mikey Schlosser. He's a great player, great person. You just hate to see that in such a crucial moment of the season. So my thoughts are with him. But, with that being said, it's a situation you look at every team and we just got done playing the Archers. And if you look at Ryan Ambler, Tom Schreiber, Matt Moore, you're talking about 3 guys that can all use 2 hands and run at the speed of light, right? Like you have to have all eyes on those guys. And, every time you go out there, you're saying, oh, we have to put a poll on Tom Schreiber. The poll has to go to Tom Schreiber, no matter what. He earned that respect. With these guys, it's they do such a good job spreading the ball around, and we're going to have to kind of see who's doing the initiating from them up top. And we have the ability to make that change, from an athletic standpoint, hey, Troy, CJ, you're going to go cover this guy because he's the one initiating. He's the one getting his hands free. He's the one drawing a slide. And you don't really have that luxury playing against the Archers because it's Tom Schreiber. Coach Towers would lose his job if he put a short stick on him, whether the results are there or not. So just having that confidence, knowing that we have the ability to do that, I think kind of falls into us being able to dictate what's going to occur on our end of the field.
What's been the message from AT this week? Obviously, you guys We're in the bubble championship. Last year, you hoist the trophy, and you're going for another one this year. But what are some similarities in his messages to you guys from years past going into a championship game, and what are some things that are different with this year's team?
Yeah, he pretty much said like one more trip to the fucking grocery store. He's like stuff like that. No, he's listen. AT's as real as it gets. We do Zooms. We do a defensive Zoom on Tuesday, and he's on that. And then we do an offensive Zoom, and he really like breaks it down like almost to an elementary standpoint where a fourth and fifth grader would understand what we're trying to do. So there's no questions. And once that's on the table, it's kind of about us, bringing the swagger and and just playing lacrosse and being us. I think our mindset this week is like there's so much going on. You talk about Mikey Sloss, or you talk about even Mikey Sowers. People are saying, oh, he's injured. Well, that's not what you need to focus on. That's not where your focus needs to be directed. You know what I mean? It needs to be directed on us and on the game. And then, people are asking, oh, can I get tickets? People coming out of the woodworks, hey, it's your best friend, from high school. Can I get tickets? And you're like, so there's just a lot going on. So his focus to us is to be confident, but not to skip the process. The process is what got us into this situation. And then his last message, and I think this one's what's most important, is that we just have to enjoy each other's presence this weekend. And, whether we win or lose the game, this is the finish line for everyone, and, the team has never looked similar 2 years in a row. You lose people to trades, you lose people to, retirement, all this stuff. And this group's special. And we've been down, a deep hole. We've lost 5 games in a row, and we've heard it from all ends, and people wrote us off. And, here we are. And that really speaks to who this group is and the type of people we are. And we take pride in that. And we just got to come out and, worry about our 19 guys against their 19 guys. And, the atmosphere is going to be the atmosphere. The trophy is the trophy, but that's what it comes down to. Let's see how dark, we're willing to get. Let's see how deep we're willing to drive for this last one for each other. And that's a special feeling that you don't get in everyday life. And, you talk about opportunities. Guys are willing to say that they would give it all for an opportunity like this. And you can't take that for granted, even it being our 3rd championship. Nothing's guaranteed after this, man. Like I could never make another championship game. I could never play another game. You never know. So having it here on your plate, man, you gotta take it all in and remember deep down that it's about the process. So should be a good weekend.
I don't think you and I have ever gotten to kind of discuss this because, it was year one when we started covering the league too. But obviously Fate of a Sport was on ESPN on Thursday night. What was kind of your, journey to the PLL and how you got involved initially, and what was that kind of initial interaction with Paul and Mike to get you over to, come join Chaos and be part of this new journey for the sport?
Yeah, my process was pretty different in the fact that I was a backup in the MLL. I mentioned that. And Galloway obviously was a huge draw for the PLL. So Galloway went right away. And, here I am. I put 4 years into this team. I've only started 2 games. And now my contract's going from $6,300 to now they're willing to offer me Galloway money. Like, hey, MLL, like, we want you to be our starter for Dallas. So it's like, whoa, like, fuck, everything that I just worked for is like, here it is. Like, you got it. It's yours now. And then you got like the PLL reaching out, like coming in at a lower offer. And, at the time it was me and Charlie Cipriano that ended up going, and Cip was a starter in the MLL. So I don't think they saw me coming in and being a starter. And, I just talked to a lot of people. That's, I got a ton of connections in this game, and I got people's advice. And, I came back to the PLL and asked them to match my offer. And they did. And on that email, Mike Rabel mentioned like that he matched this offer because this is for the players and that's what their core values are going to be. And that kind of showed me, going out on a limb and, giving me something that, whether I deserved it or didn't deserve it. You know, like I was a backup, and he stuck his neck out for me, and that really means a lot to me. And I made the jump and went to training camp and knew it was me and Sip, and the starting job was open. And obviously, it really worked out well for me. And you know, it's kind of betting on yourself. It's kind of having the right people in your circle and having great teammates. So, you know, you look back and you're like, wow, I'm glad that worked out for me. But at the same time, you know, you do the right things every day, and you know, you treat people with respect, and you know, you think before you do. You know, shit's gonna work out for you, whatever it is in life, and if it doesn't, then you rebound and make it happen. You know, and that's just been my mentality, and just super blessed and grateful to be in the opportunity that I am today, and I don't take a minute for granted.
And then, you know, when the MVP award was announced this year, obviously your Wings teammate Trevor Baptiste takes it home, and the Wings, it didn't even hit me until they tweeted it out. But 2019, Rambo wins the MVP. 2021, you win the MVP, and then this year Trevor wins it. For you guys, how special is it that, you know, come NLL season you're all teammates, and then when you're all going to battle in the PLL, how cool is it, you know, when you step back and look that, you know, two of your best friends are out there winning MVPs along with yourself?
Yeah, you talk about like them being my Wings teammates, like, you know, beyond that, man, like we lived together all during COVID, you know, for a year and a half. Us three lived together and we're friends, and you know, we challenge each other to be better. And you know, I laugh like, you know, Rambo's walking around with his championship trophy and the MVP trophy, and you know, we're sitting there, and I guess that fire makes it burn a little deeper watching him strut around the fucking house with it. So you know, I had to come and collect mine, and then Trevor texted me, and he's like, "All right, now it's really on who's getting the fucking second one." Because that's listen, we're all on the same. Who's getting the second one? I said, that's a great point, Trev. I said, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be me though, and he's like, we'll see. He calls me cuz, so I said, we'll see, cuz. So just having relationships like that, you know, guys that make you want to be better, guys that, you know, you see him elevate his game, and now I want to elevate my game. We're always trying to outdo each other, but it's all out of love, and there's so much respect there. The way he carries himself as a pro, and you know, everything that he's gone through. And you know, I laugh, you know, I'm 28 years old now. I think Trev's 26, man. He's still a young buck, but he's got veteran years under his belt, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. You know, and I laugh because I say, I'm going to be that retired old guy on the couch, and you're still going to be out there. And, you know, I'm going to be jealous, but keep doing your thing, man. And obviously excited to have the opportunity to strap it up with them with the Wings and finish a little unfinished business that we have there. So
yeah, you bring up awards. This is the first year you haven't won the Goalie of the Year award. Talk about, you know, Kyle and what he brought to the game this year, and how he caused you to elevate your play throughout the year, and also just how he was eventually ending up being Goalie of the Year this year.
Yeah, Kyle was the guy, you know, before the PLL was, you know, he was winning with the Ohio Machine. He's winning all these awards. You know, he's got a lot of pro minutes under his belt. He's got championships. And he's someone that, you know, he's as fierce as competitor gets. We're business partners. We run events together. We talk, and, you know, it's funny. Our relationship's a little bit different. Like, we don't really talk too much shit to each other. Like, because I know how like straight edged he is, and like how much he cares. Whereas like me and Rambo like have a mutual like understanding that we're going to get after each other, and we're going to throw some low blows at each other, but it's only out of love. So like our relationship's different in that sense. Like from a playing standpoint this year, you know, he was as solid as it gets. And he elevates, you know, you talk about that Whip Snakes defense, everyone, I mean, he's been the backbone of that. And, I knew, you know, as soon as about the 8-game mark, you know, I'm like, this dude came out to play, and it was great to see after having a struggling season. You know, as a goalie, we all respect each other. We know how difficult this position is. And, you know, during dark times, man, like it's tough. And, you know, he goes from being on the pedestal to being a backup, and then losing a championship. And, you know, he put his neck out on the line, and, he made it happen and he bounced out, and that's, you know, life's all about that. And for him to persevere and do that is great. And I can probably tell you that he would do anything to trade his position to be in mine. That's the type of person he is. He's a lot like myself. I don't think he cares much about those personal awards. He's in it for the team award and, you know, that feeling that's going to stick with you forever. So much love for him. I'm happy that, you know, he got it. And, you know, now it's my turn to go take back what's mine next year. So
new trophy, obviously, for the championship now. You guys hoisted the cup. Now you got the new trophy. What are your thoughts on that bad boy? And, you know, how special, again, is it going to be if you guys are the ones, you know, hoisting that first time with that trophy?
that thing's pretty sexy. You know, Tiffany did a good job, man. They got that thing shining. It's blingy. You know, people talk about not being able to drink out of the cup. You know, like can still use it as a luge, but you know, I think it's unique, man. Like that's one thing. Like I think the PLL, like everyone has their opinion on the way stuff should be done. You know, at the end of the day, Paul and Mike, this is their league. Like they're allowed to be unique in their own way, and that trophy is unique to this league. It's not like any other trophy that you've seen. Yeah, you know, you talk about years. Oh, everyone. Well, this is something new. Like they're doing it their own way. This is the new age. They're all over social media. They're the word a travel league. Like be unique to yourself, and I think this trophy fits this league perfectly. And you know, you dream of that moment where you get to hoist the thing over your head and like in your arms it feels like it's weightless, but like deep down in your heart, like the trophy, the symbol of the trophy itself means so much more. Like just thinking about all the guys and what we've gone through, and there's those long travel days, and you know, the bumps, the bruises, the sacrifices that you've had to give up, like the people along the way that have been willing to sacrifice their own good for your greater good, man. Like that stuff all really hits you and puts it in perspective, and it's all symbolized by a trophy. So I'm grateful, and I'm ecstatic that the PLL made something special, that we're all, you know, that winner, and you'll get to share that. And hopefully we're the first ones to do it, and we'll leave our paw prints and our lip marks all over the thing, and you know, it will be great. So
I think that's a perfect way to close it out. Deej, you have one last one
I
for
do.
the boy.
Come on, man.
I asked Eli this question as well.
Yeah.
He's pretty much wearing purple all year. You're wearing red, black, white, a little bit of gold all year. If you had to rank your jerseys between Wings and Chaos, top to bottom, what would they be?
Well, the Chaos jerseys this year, I don't know if you guys see, but every year when the team that wins the championship the previous year, on the back of the logo, it's got the crown. So that's kind of unique to our team. It's earned. I'm all about earning. So, you know, I think from a Chaos jersey standpoint, you know, I would say we're probably like a 9.1. I like the logo. I like the colors. I like the jerseys that we wore in the bubble that kind of had like the rock star red and black. Like I think that was cool. I think you add a little bit of that in. But no, I would say a solid 9.1. And then for the Wings, you know, I watched NLL growing up, so I remember the old Wings colors, like that silky silver, you know, like that was big time. But you know, I think our logo is pretty clean. And you can, like black and gold, you know, and red are like three like pretty strong, fierce colors, and like I think they all complement each other. I'm gonna go probably with a 9.5 on the Wings jerseys. They got the bigger name plates on the back. They're pretty fit, and you know, everything's hand sewn on them, and you can see the details of that, and that's pretty special. So that's what I got for you, Deej.
Appreciate
What'd you
it.
think of the porthole mesh jerseys too in Denver? Did you like those?
Yeah, they don't have much give, man. I got broad shoulders, if you want to say it like that. I don't know what you want to say. You can call me.
I feel that.
You can call
I
me thick,
relate
you can
very
call me
much to
broad,
that.
you can call me big bone, but I don't know, man. When the jersey doesn't stretch like that, I kind of felt a little bit like I was trapped in there. And you talk about the air holes breathing. It don't matter. It's the heat of the summer. I got an undershirt on. I didn't feel much breeze at all, so I'm cool with hanging that one up on the wall and never wearing it again in a competition. So
You didn't go shirtless?
nah, that's not my game, man. That's Frazier. That was Frazier. Once he did it, I said, "There's no chance I'm doing this, man."
Jack
Game
said the
over.
same
Jack
thing.
said the same thing. He said, Chase is jacked. He's got all the tattoos and everything, so he can go shirtless. And I'm over here scrawny and skinny. I had to wear a T-shirt under that thing.
Yeah, Chase is talking about doing the old titty bump after he scores. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna just put my shirt on and let's just get through this game, man. This isn't for me, right? So it's all good, man. That's us though, in a nutshell.
That's us ball, baby.
That
and
is us ball. So,
Blaze, best of luck this weekend. Excited to see you on Friday, obviously at Media Day, and then on Sunday at the game. And best of luck. And hopefully you guys are, hoisting that trophy, like you said, and celebrating in your hometown.
I appreciate that, fellas. Thanks for your time, and go us.
Shout out to Blaze, finally a friend of the program. Very insightful, very just fun conversation, and that will definitely not be the last time Blaze is on the show. I'm excited for this game, man. I'm excited. It's the last one of 2022, which means it's the last time in 2022 PLL form that
We'll be feeding ducks.
that we feed some ducks. It is the PLL playoffs. Philadelphia final pick of the week, powered by our homies over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports. The NFL is here. Play those week-to-week NFL props on Pickup's website. All you got to do is sign up with your phone number. It's so easy. A duck could do it. Go to playpickup.com, sign up with your phone number, rack up points on your fan profiles for getting props correct, cash them in for prizes on the Pickup Marketplace. That's playpickup.com, and start playing those headlines. One final one for the money, Deej. The championship game is here. If everybody knows, if you're a longtime listener, I predicted the NLL champions. Will I get the PLL champions? That remains to be seen. But it is Chaos versus Waterdogs. A 5 seed in the Dogs, a 7 seed in Chaos. This game's so unpredictable, it could go either way. My heart is just saying I hope both teams have fun. That's why I bet the over this week. I want both teams to have fun. I like both of these teams a lot. So I don't know where I'm going. My brain is it's like an abacus right now. Old school calculator, just picking and choosing which way to move the beads. But I think this game is one of the most evenly matched championship games we've ever had in pro field lacrosse, especially in a long time. I think both of these teams match up really well against each other. They each do things differently in terms of just their play styles, their matchups. So, Deej, with your final pick of 2022, who's getting the nod?
This one's tough. Hard to pick Chaos because of the year they had. But those are the boys. And it's the championship. It's playoffs. None of the stuff they've gone through this year really matters at this point. But the Waterdogs have been balling. I've said it over and over, on pod, off pod, to other people. It takes one game for them to get hot, and they have 2 under the belt right now. There's championship experience on both sides. But there is only PLL championship experience on one side. And there are six guys wearing red, black, and white this weekend that just lost a championship to a guy wearing purple, black, and white this weekend. They still remember that very, very much. And I have to lean Chaos. Those are the boys. And I've picked against them twice already this playoffs for other reasons. I have nothing to win here. I'm trying to help us out. I think Chaos is the best thing possible for me to try and squeeze us down on my behalf to 2 games behind instead of 4. If I lose, it's 4, and well, hopefully that means you win and we even out because you'll be 4 games ahead of me. But hey, I like Chaos because those are the boys. And after losing a championship, I don't see them losing twice to the same man.
All valid points. And it's all been going through my brain here of who to pick just in terms of pick sense. This is not a... Because, like I said, I love so many guys on both of these teams that if either of them end up winning, I'm going to be thrilled. It's also why I picked the over on over and back. Like you said, there's PLL championship experience on that Chaos squad. There's a revenge factor on that Chaos squad. And they're so unpredictable that you don't know what Chaos team is really going to show up this year. Not to say that they haven't been absolutely fantastic in the postseason. They've hit their stride when it matters. But also, like you said, the Waterdogs, it takes one game for them to get rolling. They had the longest win streak outside of the Whip Snakes, I believe. Or tied with the Whip Snakes, maybe. This season at 5 games. And I think... As weird as it sounds in a team sport, I think this Waterdogs team are collectively playing for Dylan Ward to add a PLL trophy to his mantle against his former PLL team. So I think that also has to be taken into account. And simply just... for the experience factor alone, I'm going to go with Chaos. I think Chaos have that PLL experience factor, but would it shock me if the Waterdogs hot streak continues, it plays out, Dylan Ward plays out of his mind, the boy Eli Gobrecht and the rest of that defense play out of their minds? Hell no. Again, that's why I like the over in this game as the number 1 solid pick to happen. But I'm going to go Chaos to just stay even with you and solidify my W. Play it a little safe. But again, you and I would both be thrilled with either team capturing a dub. I'm excited for all of our guys in this one. But I'm going to go with the PLL playoff experience is what kind of tipped the scale a little bit for me in the direction of chaos. So we're both going to take chaos and the 2.8%. That way we don't get tweeted at either. But I give all of the Waterdogs permission to tweet at me if we are incorrect. I will take all the smoke. But that is our final pick of the week. It is chaos taking home the trophy. Part of me, though, wants to see some variety on that trophy. And that's where it's so tough to remove so many feelings from it. But that's our PLL Philly final pick of the week, presented by Pickup. It is tough. It's tough to really put a definitive answer on this game like we did last week and really just picking who we thought was going to win. When it's one game and it's so evenly this is our toughest pick, I think, of the year. I was going full blown for the brand when I was picking the Mammoth to win games, and it just so happened to happen. There was no way in my mind I truly was oh yeah, the Bandits are going to lose, 2 out of 3. The team is hungry for a title, and it just so happened to happen. That's what's so cool about lacrosse, is it's stupidly unpredictable. So again, it would not shock me if the Waterdogs pull this off and pull out the victory here. And I'd be equally as thrilled for them as if, Chaos were to win as well. Both teams. Like I said, I want them to have fun. Just go play and have fun, boys. That's where my mind is, truly.
Fun will definitely be had this weekend. And yeah, I'm not opposed to either team winning. I think it'll be fun either way. The celebration will be awesome. Either team that wins it will be worth it. But yeah, there definitely is a part of me that would like to see some variety, not only on the trophy, but just, see what it's going to be like to see people talk about it on Twitter and Discord and see the fans react to it in person. All of that comes into play.
Yeah. And I know you're all going to hate us for a stupid long episode, but we had to do championship week, right? And on our way home from DC, DJ and I were quite hungry, and we stopped at a place that had an exclusive do for us to review. So without any further ado, it's time for...
All right.
We good?
Yeah.
All right. It's another Drake Porter do review. We got the Applebee's exclusive on deck. We just got back from DC. And, we already did that B-Dubs one, so go check that out. But what was this flavor, Deej?
This is the Mountain Dew Dark Berry Bash.
I'm intrigued. I've been to Applebee's, not a sponsor, a number of times, and have postponed trying this simply for this review. So here we go, Applebee's exclusive Dark Berry Bash.
Well, we got to talk about the color first.
That blue is bluing.
Fading into the dark blue that looks like
It's very
black,
reminiscent
purplish.
of the blue Shirley Temple from Friendlies. Very windy. better than voltage.
Oh, I'm Chris Bates right now.
So disrespectful.
Yeah, I was saying, that makes sense.
This is hilarious, dog. All right. Wow. I'm going to do something we haven't done yet. This is a 9. This is a 9. This is a 9. This is the best Mountain Dew I've had to date.
There it is. 9 flat.
9 flat. What's the total now? 879 flat.
That's a 17.7. I mean, it's gonna be in the high 8s.
Math is hard. So, calculator. What's 8.85. So
That's an 8.9.
8.9.
That might be the highest ever.
Or is that tied with something?
Might be. We'll find out.
Yeah.
There it is. 8.9 overall.
Now I'm wondering though, if I gave Frostbite or not.
Forget. This blows frostbite out of the water.
Oh yeah, I might have to give this a 10.
Like we might have been just hype on finding it. Our frostbite score might change, but this 8.9 overall. There it is. Drake Porter Dew review. DJ's crying.
I am. This is immaculate.
Nothing like a good old Drake Porter Dew review, especially when they're exclusive, and especially when they are as tasty as the one we had as we ate good in the neighborhood.
Bro, you got to stop using these slogans, man. Y'all just don't know the amount of company slogans this man drops me in a week. Ridiculous.
It was a good one. Great episode. Last bit here, the end of year awards were announced. Shout out to Trevor Baptiste, the MVP. I think I can reveal this now that the awards are out. I was fortunate enough and very humbled to be asked to be an end of year award voter for the PLL awards. So I want to thank the league for giving me that opportunity. I did tweet out my ballot. And mostly everyone I voted for ended up winning their respective award. Now, I did give the nod to Kieran McCardle for Attackman of the Year, and I did give Romar Dennis the Humanitarian Award nod. But I'm not mad that Lyle won both of those. Absolutely deserved. We'll see if Kieran, which I believe he will be a first-team All-Pro Attackman this year. Rightfully so. And shout out to Romar. He's done fantastic things for, the Latino American community in lacrosse and just in general. That community has a special place in my heart for sure, with just a lot of close family friends that I just consider family being of Latin American descent. So congrats to all the award winners. Trevor MVP, Lyle Attackman of the Year, Tom Schreiber Midfielder of the Year, JT Giles Harris, your Defensive Player of the Year, Michael Earhart, the LSM of the Year, Danny Logan, the Short Stick D Midi of the Year, Trevor winning Face-Off Athlete of the Year, Kyle Bernlor, your Goalie of the Year, Brendan Nickturn, the Rookie of the Year, Coach Sudan, your Coach of the Year, Eric Law, your Sportsmanship Award winner, Lyle Thompson, your Humanitarian Award winner, Brody Merrill, your Teammate of the Year Award winner, and Jordan McIntosh, the Leadership Award winner. All of them so well-deserved, so well-earned, and couldn't be happier for all of those guys to take home those awards.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by anybody who was nominated. Wasn't surprised by anyone who ended up winning. It was some people who I felt, got left off a ballot per se, but with the small number of spots and all the talent in the league that's going to be expected every year, eventually the league will get to a point where it's more open voting and you just vote for whoever you feel should have the position, and they'll just go off of total number of votes and who has the most. until then, though, we're going to be in this position where deserving guys are left out of the conversation, and it is what it is. But the guys who were in the conversation all deserved, and so did the winners. And we'll see kind of when All Pro comes out if everybody there, in our opinion, got the deserving spots, or if we felt like anybody got snubbed from that. But it was a phenomenal year all around, and individual awards are just that. They're for people who individually showed out. But the main goal is championship. So that's the thing we're still waiting on to see.
Yeah. We got one more game. Philadelphia on Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. If you're going to be at Subaru Park, come say what's up. I'll also be at Media Day by the time you guys are listening or watching to this. So diving into all the media stuff. DJ will be there virtually because he flies in on Saturday. And it's going to be a doozy of a weekend. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod, Twitter and Instagram. Follow me at KBIZZL311 on Twitter. Follow DJ at SCS_NextGreat on Twitter. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. It goes a long way with helping more people find the show. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Full video episodes of OTB on the YouTube every single week. Smash that like button, click the bell icon, comment down below your championship game predictions. And big thank you to our sponsors, Tomahawk Shades Pickup, Kenwood Beer, and Bino Board. All of their information is linked in the show notes on audio and in the description on YouTube. This has been episode number 239 of the allegedly award-nominated, number 9 ranked, and viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, part of the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast network. For DJ, Eli Gobrecht, Jack Rowlett, and Blaze Riorden. Again, thank you to the boys for hopping on the show. I'm your boy KB. Until next week, we are signing the heck off. Peace.
Peace.